From the Nationwide News Network. Comprehensive, incisive, tough. This is Nationwide at 5.
Good afternoon, I'm Cliff Hughes.
I'm Nora Gay Banton.
In Nationwide News at this hour, the Education Ministry says there are more than 1,000 trained teachers available ahead of the September start of the new school year, amid reports from principals of a growing number of resignations.
The ministry says among the new teachers waiting to be employed is a group of almost 200 with special training in math and English.
The 17-year-old girl who was doused with a flammable liquid and set on fire by her 18-year-old boyfriend is set to leave the island this afternoon for treatment in Texas.
The Member of Parliament for South St. Catherine says the Finance Minister has sided with commercial banks in the dispute with customers over bank fees.
These executives and the owners of the banks are making this super profit for which the Minister of Finance is seeking to protect and has come to Parliament and vocally defended.
Central Manchester MP Rhoda Moy Crawford dismisses call from the opposition leader for the government to relax the pace of debt reduction and spend more money on poor people.
And you hear the opposition leader saying we're paying off the debt too quickly. Garbage, rubbish. Don't make nobody tell me no stories.
In news from the rest of the world, residents in over a dozen counties in Florida told to evacuate amid looming threat from Hurricane Idalia.
Russian President Vladimir Putin confirms he will not attend next month's G20 summit in Delhi.
In sports, national women's football team captain Khadija Shaw beaten to Women's Footballer of the Year award in England.
And later in our broadcast, in our cover story at 5:35, the president of the Association of Principals of Secondary Schools, Linvan Wright, says administrators should engage sixth form students to teach certain subjects. Can this work? The president of the JTA, Leighton Johnson, and the past president of the National Secondary Students Council, Jamal Hall, will give us their reactions.
In public opinion at 6:26, we ask, what do you make of the suggestion to allow sixth form students to fill teacher vacancies in schools? Give us your comments by logging on to our Facebook page, Nationwide News Network, and by tweeting us at Nationwide Radio, and message us on WhatsApp at 876-285-5693. You can also leave your comments on Instagram and Threads at Nationwide 90FM.
And at 6:40 in the nation's business, Dad, Don't Touch Me There was a reality for Queen Ifrica. We'll look at sexual assault and how victims survive with the head of the Department of Gender and Development Studies at Mona, Dr. Karen Carpenter, and the former head of Sisoka, Superintendent Gladys Brown Ellis.
At 8, it's Prescription for Life with Dr. Andre McDonald.
And at 9, Affairs of the Heart with Rodney Campbell. Tonight's topic, if you ignore red flags early, should you complain in the end? All these and more as we take you home on air on your mobile, Nationwide 90 FM, Nationwide Radio, JM.com, and on the Nationwide app available on Google Play and the App Store. This Tuesday afternoon, it's Tuesday, August 29, 2023.
If it's news, it's got to be Nationwide 90 FM.
Now to the details. There are more than 1,120 newly trained teachers available for recruitment in schools. That's a word from the Ministry of Education in a bulletin sent to school administrators earlier this month. The MOE, recognizing the impact of untimely resignations, outlined several strategies to help offset the loss of experienced educators. Siobhan Campbell tells us more.
The release dated August 15, 2023, reminds school administrators that 1,123 specialist teachers have just completed their programs of study and may be available for employment in the government teaching service. The Ministry of Education urged school boards to contact the heads of the teacher training institutions as part of a strategic recruitment thrust. Among the cohort are 106 early childhood specialists, 366 primary level teachers, and 62 special education instructors, along with 59 guidance counselors. There are also 530 teachers across various subject areas, with secondary education as their major. For the critical subjects, there are 126 math specialists, along with 60 English specialists. The Ministry of Education is reminding school boards that they should now have access to its job recruitment platform, which became operational on August 28. Schools can post job openings and search for potential candidates through the platform. Job seekers can create profiles, search for job opportunities, and apply for positions that match their skills and interests. There are also 68 teachers available for recruitment through the Jamaica-Cuban Teachers Cooperation Program. Those teachers are equipped to teach Spanish, math, chemistry, and physics. Recruits are also available under the Ministry of Education and Youth Scholarship Program for teachers. Of the 88 graduates from that program are 40 math specialists and 16 science instructors. The ministry says it's aware that the nuances on the ground are many. It's encouraging school leaders to make contact with their regional office to explore other possible approaches. The issue of a teacher shortage has prompted the president of the Jamaica Association of Principals of Secondary School, JAPSS, Linvern Wright, to float the idea of engaging sixth form students to plug some gaps.
One of the other things that we're looking at is maybe look at really good sixth formers, who are in many of these areas to see if we can maybe just look at a pre-trained approach to things. Those are things, again, that I'm sure the ministry, if we have dialogue with them, when we do, again, we can speak to. But where it is, especially in relation to, as I said, the technical areas, it's one of the things I think we have to look at. Apprenticing people, making them love it, and then we'll be offering them scholarships for training and seeing how well they stay on because of that kind of approach.
Siobhan Campbell for Nationwide News.
The 17-year-old teenager who was doused with flammable liquid and set ablaze, allegedly by her 18-year-old ex-boyfriend, is about to be airlifted to the United States for treatment. The ambulance transporting Alicia King is en route to the Norman Manley International Airport. Alicia was reportedly asleep at home in Linstead, St. Catherine, about 3 last Thursday morning when she was set on fire. It's reported that the 17-year-old received severe burns to 60% of her body. She has been receiving treatment at the University Hospital of the West Indies. Project manager at the San Myrna Foundation, Stephen Joseph, says Alicia will be treated at a burn hospital in Galveston, Texas.
What is going to take place just now, we're moving Alicia King to Shriners Hospital in Texas, and where she'll get further care. I must say a big thank you to the team of doctors headed by Dr. Straub.
Mr. Joseph says the teen will be taken straight to the operating theater after landing on U.S. soil.
Right now, when she gets overseas, she will immediately go into surgery. She'll get skin grafting. She'll get a lot of things that is needed to be done. So she has a good fighting opportunity, a chance to live with additional treatment. But I must say the doctors here did a tremendous job, and I must certainly say thanks to the medical staff here at UWI Hospital.
Stephen Joseph, project manager of the San Myrna Foundation.
Member of Parliament for South St. Catherine, the PNP's Fitz Jackson, is accusing the Finance Minister, Dr. Nigel Clark, of siding with commercial banks against the Jamaican people on the matter of banking fees. Mr. Jackson made the accusation while calling for the House of Representatives to again take up the Banking Services Bill with new proposed amendments. Nora Gay Banton reports.
Not for the first time, Fitz Jackson, the veteran lawmaker, is taking the government to task for its failure again to allow MPs to debate the Banking Services Bill. The bill, which was tabled and then voted down in 2018, has been retabled with amendments. Mr. Jackson says the finance minister has protected the revenue streams of big banks at the expense of Jamaicans.
The Minister of Finance don't want the banks to have any less revenue stream. Bear in mind, that a couple of months ago when I tabled some question to the Minister regarding a cashman fee, he made a long journey around the world to tell us that the fees being charged by the bank are justified for the solvency of the bank. But then again, we saw where in the NCB case, right, the billions of dollars, all of that is paid for from fee revenue.
Mr. Jackson says his call for debate on the bill has the support of government members in the House, including members of the Cabinet. The South St. Catherine MP says the proposed amendments are the result of a consultative process, but he says the Finance Minister has shown no desire to reopen debate on the matter.
It was to maintain the profit, the super profit, not just profit, because I'm full support of banks and other businesses making profit. I'm in business too. We're talking about super profit at the expense of the unemployed, the marginally employed, the pensioners, the students, those who are struggling to make a day-to-day life. It is at their expense that these executives and the owners of the banks are making this super profit for which the Minister of Finance is seeking to protect and has come to Parliament and vocally defended.
Fitz-Jackson says he's appealing to the government to put ordinary Jamaicans first.
In opposition, you can't pass legislation without the support of the government side. So I'm just urging my colleagues on the government side. They can take my name off the bill, you know. Call it any other thing you want. Just put in place the protection. Let us go beyond the narrow partisan considerations and just put Jamaica first. Put the everyday Jamaicans first. That's all I'm asking. That's all has been asked for by this government. But what we have seen continuously is that the protection of the super rich is the government's priority and self-interest.
Efforts to reach Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark for a comment were unsuccessful. Nora Gay Banton for Nationwide News.
And Fitz-Jackson says his lawsuit against the Bank of Nova Scotia, BNS, over banking fees is headed for trial. Mr. Jackson sued BNS after he was compelled to pay just over $300 Jamaican to encash a check in the amount of $2,500.
We went to mediation and that failed. And so we're appearing before the court on the 12th of first appearance before the court. Subsequent to the mediation exercise is the 12th of October.
And what's expected to happen on that day?
Well, that's a case management hearing, and then a trial date will emerge out of that, as I understand it from my attorneys.
Mr. Jackson is seeking a declaration from the court that BNS breached its obligation to honor a negotiable instrument by imposing fees. Section 73 of the Bills of Exchange Act defines a check as a negotiable instrument. Mr. Jackson's attorneys are maintaining the law requires that the instrument be honored without conditions such as banking fees.
Private security firm Beryllium Limited and Scotiabank are dismissing claims that their employees are connected to last Friday's daylight attack by heavily armed gunmen on a Beryllium courier team doing a cash drop-off in Mandeville, Manchester. 6 persons were shot and injured as the robbers engaged in a running gun battle with the police on the busy Caledonia Road. More in this report from Shalois Michael.
In a statement on Monday, Beryllium says it's unaware of any official report from the police that Friday's shooting and robbery were facilitated and perpetrated by any of its current or former employees. The company says it will continue to cooperate with the police in their investigations into the incident. Beryllium says it will continue to support its frontline team members who continue to demonstrate courage and unwavering dedication in the face of what it calls heinous attacks by criminal groups. And in a statement on Tuesday, Scotiabank also dismissed reports that any of its current or former employees was complicit in last Friday's brazen attack. Scotiabank says it has not been advised by the police of any such action involving its staff. Friday's incident was the latest in a series of daylight attacks on Beryllium security guards since the start of the year. The security guards were attacked as they moved 4 bags of cash into the Caledonia Road branch of Scotiabank. Head of the JCF's Corporate Communications Unit, SSP Stephanie Lindsay, told Nationwide News on Tuesday afternoon that the authorities have yet to determine the sum of money stolen by the gunmen. Shalois Michael for Nationwide News.
You're listening to Nationwide News at 5. More news after these.
It's my baby's first birthday and I'm having a big party. I've got 1,000 things to do and I have a headache. I took my dependable Advil liquid gels as always. They're strong, fast, and work well for me.
The time by Advil liquid gel is
15 minutes after 5.
Rent-A-Kill Initial, the global leaders in pest control services for termites, birds, bats, rodents, mold, and more. Call us at 876-926-4236 for your free assessment.
The Jamaica Customs Agency and the Passport, Immigration and Citizenship Agency are advising that as of September 1, 2023, air passengers to Jamaica must complete their Immigration Customs Passenger Declaration or C5 form online at enterjamaica.com. Air passengers, go electronic with C5. It's fast, safe, and convenient. For more details, you may contact the Jamaica Customs Agency at 876-922-5140-8 and the Passport, Immigration and Citizenship Agency at 876-754-7422.
We're having problems with our main YouTube page, but you can still enjoy or live stream on the YouTube platform. Go to Nationwide 90 FM Live or backup page to enjoy your favorite Nationwide programs. You can get there by simply typing at Nationwide News Network in your YouTube search window. You can also listen and interact with us through the Nationwide app and on your radio at 90.1, 90.3, 90.5, 90.7 and 90.9.
Continuing the news, the Member of Parliament for Central Manchester, the JLP's Rhoda Moy Crawford, is urging party supporters to resist attempts by detractors to undermine the economic achievements of the Holness administration. Ms. Crawford made the appeal on Sunday at a JLP divisional conference in Malvern, southeast St. Elizabeth.
Remain focused. Shut out the noise from those who love to orchestrate propaganda. Keep your eyes on the prize. And when you get the negative messages, do not share them. Do not circulate them. When you do that, whether you recognize that that is what you're doing or not, you are helping to spread their propaganda. So when you get the negative messages, delete them. Don't even send it forward. What you need to do instead, look for the positive things that are happening in your division, in your constituency, in your parish, and right across Jamaica, and share those.
Ms. Crawford urged Labourites to focus on the positive developments in their constituencies and the country at large. She told them that the JLP administration is to be commended for reducing crime, record low unemployment, and continuing economic growth. The first-term MP also took issue with a repeated call from the opposition leader Mark Golding that the government relax efforts around debt reduction and instead divert funds towards poverty alleviation measures. Golding has been making that call since May 2022.
But since them other ones have rocketed our debt, and you hear the opposition leader saying we're paying off the debt too quickly. Garbage, rubbish. When we pay off the debt, it means we have more money to spend. It's just like a mother. If you get $100,000 for your salary, but you owe $80,000 and you have to pay that a month, you only have $20,000 to spend. So we are focused on reducing the debt so that we have more money to put into the economy so that our people can benefit. Don't make nobody tell me no stories.
Rhoda Moy Crawford, the MP for Central Manchester.
Opposition leader Mark Golding says the Holness administration is presiding over an economy where the unemployment rate is low but poverty levels are high. He made the claim while speaking to PNP supporters in West Portland on the weekend.
They talk about unemployment at 4.5%, but it just shows you what a lopsided economy we have, where you can say you have unemployment at 4.5%, yet we have virtually no growth in the economy. 1% growth projected, and we have poverty going up. In 2021, it went up by 6% over where it was when previously measured. And since then, the COVID stimulus dry up, the cost of living gone up and up and up, inflation, and the government has not responded to cushion the crisis on the people. So we know poverty is worse than ever.
Mark Golding, opposition leader.
World in a Minute is brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC.
Hose Assembly and Supply Limited, equipping Jamaica for success. Charles O'Connor Consulting Network Limited, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
The world in a minute.
A rapidly intensifying Hurricane Idalia is closing in on Florida's Gulf Coast as residents in more than a dozen counties rush to evacuate. This amid warnings of a life-threatening storm surge and winds of up to 125 miles per hour. Landfall for the first major hurricane to strike the U.S. this year is expected early on Wednesday. Forecasters are predicting that Idalia will crash ashore as a higher-end Category 3 system. Category 3 hurricanes have winds of up to 129 miles per hour. The storm became a Category 1 overnight and was expected to beef up further in strength and size. After crossing northern Florida on Wednesday, the storm will head for Georgia and the Carolinas, where a stretch of the coast was placed under a tropical storm warning early today.
Russian President Vladimir Putin has told Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi that he will not attend the G20 summit in Delhi next month. India is hosting this year's summit, which will be held in the capital Delhi from September 9 to 10. Putin rang Modi and told him that Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov would attend the summit on his behalf. The two leaders are reported to have also discussed several regional and global issues of mutual concern. The G20 includes the world's 19 wealthiest countries plus the European Union. India currently holds the G20 presidency, which rotates annually between members.
World in a Minute was brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC.
Charles O'Connor Consulting Network Limited, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
Recapping the top stories in nationwide news at this hour. The Education Ministry says there are more than 1,000 trained teachers available to be employed in schools ahead of the September start to the school year, amid reports on principals of a growing number of resignations. The ministry says among the new teachers waiting to be employed is a group of almost 200 with special training in mathematics and English language.
The 17-year-old girl who was doused with a flammable liquid and set on fire by her 18-year-old boyfriend is set to leave the island this afternoon for treatment in Texas.
The Member of Parliament for South St. Catherine, Fitz Jackson, says the Finance Minister has sided with commercial banks in the dispute with customers over banking fees.
These executives and the owners of the bank are making this super profit for which the Minister of Finance is seeking to protect and has come to Parliament and vocally defended.
The PNP's Fitz Jackson. I'm Cliff Hughes.
And I'm Nora Gay Banton.
You can find the news on our website at nationwideradiojm.com and on the Nationwide app available in Google Play and the App Store. Headlines are next at 6.
What does a strong Jamaican mean to you?
It means a Jamaica in which everybody have a house no matter them income, where citizens can say the words I own and back up them chat with a title.
Where everybody have access to water and good road run through every part of the island. A Jamaica with first-class ports and factory space for accommodate enough investments and jobs.
Where policies and laws work to protect our environment for future generations and to slow the impacts of climate change.
So how are we going to achieve all them things?
So now one ministry and its agencies.
The Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation.
We're having problems with our main YouTube page, but you can still enjoy our live stream on the YouTube platform. Go to Nationwide 90 FM Live or backup page to enjoy your favorite Nationwide programs. You can get there by simply typing at Nationwide News Network in your YouTube search window. You can also listen and interact with us through the Nationwide app and on your radio at 90.1, 90.3, 90.5, 90.7 and 90.9.
Sports at 5 is brought to you by Total Tools. They almost always have it.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. The Jamaica Football Federation will be hosting 3 international games in 14 days next month. The Reggae Boys will start their campaign in the CONCACAF Nations League with 2 home games against Honduras on September 8 and Haiti September 12. Both games to be played at the National Stadium. 10 days later, the Reggae Girls will face Olympic champions Canada in the first of a 2-game tie, also at the National Stadium. The games are to decide which team represents CONCACAF at the 2024 Paris Olympic Games, along with the United States. A second game in the tie will be played in Canada 4 days later. All 3 games will be played within FIFA windows, hence the best available players could possibly be selected for the teams. Manchester City's Norwegian international Erling Haaland has won the PFA Player of the Year award for the 2022-23 English season. The 23-year-old striker scored 52 goals in all competitions in his debut season with Pep Guardiola's side, breaking the English single-season goal-scoring record in the process. Haaland beat back the challenges of teammates Kevin De Bruyne and John Stones, Arsenal's Bukayo Saka and Martin Odegaard, and Tottenham's Harry Kane, who is now plying his trade in Germany with Bayern Munich. Haaland was also nominated for the Young Player of the Year award, but that went to the England winner Saka after he scored 14 goals and contributed 11 assists in his finest season for Arsenal. The 21-year-old finished ahead of Moses Caicedo, who recently joined Chelsea from Brighton and Hove Albion, Aston Villa midfielder Jacob Ramsey, Arsenal forward Gabriel Martinelli, and the Brighton striker Evan Ferguson. On the women's side, Jamaica's national captain and Manchester City striker Khadija Shaw lost out in the race for the top award to the England and Aston Villa striker Rachel Daly. Daly was top scorer in the Women's Super League with 22 goals in her debut season at Villa, while Chelsea star Lauren James was named Young Player of the Year. England's Daly was top scorer in the Women's Super League with 22 goals in her season, as I mentioned, and he also played a key role in the run to the Women's World Cup final, scoring in the 6-1 group stage win over China. She won the main award ahead of Chelsea paid Sam Kerr and, of course, Guru Wrighton, Arsenal midfielder Frida Mormon, and Shaw, along with Manchester United defender Ona Batlil, now at FC Barcelona. Double Olympic sprint champion Elaine Thompson-Herah and the newly minted 100 meters world champion Shikari Richardson will clash at the Zurich Diamond League meeting in Switzerland in 2 days' time. Thompson-Herah was not part of the crack 100 meters field in Budapest, having failed to make the Jamaica team for the individual events at the World Championship. However, she ran a leg on the Jamaica team in the semi-finals of the women's 4x100 meters relay. Both sprinters would be joined in the race by Sasha Lee Forbes and the American Twishana Titi Terry. Meanwhile, back-to-back 200 meters world champion Sherika Jackson will renew her rivalry with the American star Gabby Thomas. Brittany Brown of the USA, Antonique Strong of the Bahamas, and Great Britain's Daryl Nita are also down to compete in the event. Jenny Hermosa has been backed by the United Nations Human Rights Office after being kissed by the Spanish Football Federation President Luis Rubiales. The UN organization said everyone has a responsibility to, quote, call out and challenge sexual harassment and abuse. Hermosa said the kiss on her lips following Spain's Women's World Cup final win was not consensual, which Rubiales strenuously disputes. Rubiales has been criticized for his behavior, but also he has refused to resign. The Spanish government has also called for him to be removed. They expect him to do so on Friday at a special meeting. He is taking the stance despite being provisionally suspended for 90 days by football's world governing body FIFA from all football activities. And just today, words coming out of Spain is that the FA could be looking for a reason to get rid of the coach, Vialia. Now, they are saying he was seen supporting the president and applauding the president when he gave his speech. And they believe that a combination of things, to include those two I mentioned, could be reasons enough to get rid of the coach. So it's now moving from the kiss to the coach. All right, that will pretty much do it for sports. We're going to be back at 6:05 with more.
Sports at 5 was brought to you by Total Tools. They almost always have it.
It's time for Hyundai or Hyundai. the home of modern premium affordable vehicles. Drive Hyundai.
The temperature brought to you by Hyundai is
33 degrees Celsius in Kingston and Montego Bay.
The Jamaica Customs Agency and the Passport, Immigration and Citizenship Agency are advising that as of September 1, 2023, air passengers to Jamaica must complete their Immigration Customs Passenger Declaration or C5 form online at enterjamaica.com. Air passengers, go electronic with C5. It's fast, safe, and convenient. For more details, you may contact the Jamaica Customs Agency at 876-922-5140 and the Passport, Immigration and Citizenship Agency at 876-754-7422.
Multi-link, access every time, everywhere I go. Multi-link, 24/7 access for me. It's just a win-win when we use multi-link. This card is Jamaican built, yeah. Fast and secure, you can use anywhere. Spend while supporting the economy.
Look for the multi-link logo on your card and benefit from Jamaica's largest debit payment network.
Multi-link, 24/7 access for me.
What would I do without my multi-link?
We're having problems with our main YouTube page, but you can still enjoy our live stream on the YouTube platform. Go to Nationwide 90 FM Live or backup page to enjoy your favorite Nationwide programs. You can get there by simply typing at Nationwide News Network in your YouTube search window. You can also listen and interact with us through the Nationwide app and on your radio at 90.1, 90.3, 90.5, 90.7, and 90.9.
They say hindsight is 20/20 vision. Some say they've been blinded by love. It's always interesting to hear how some relationships started with turmoil. 50 Shades of something alright. Drama to make novels and Netflix. You can always rely on a social media post or some sad story at a bar counter to calculate the crosses in a relationship gone sour. But when you hear about the start, the question is always asked, so how did this even become a relationship? The response is usually, the signs were there. But how many stop signs and precipices you need in the beginning to stop the ride? Join me, Rodney Campbell, every Tuesday from 9 to 10:30 p.m. for Affairs of the Heart, right here on Nationwide 90 FM. This Tuesday's topic, if you ignored red flags early, should you complain in the end?
Brought to you by Supermed Pharmacy. Super happy, super healthy, Supermed. And the Ministry of Health and Wellness. Healthy people, healthy environment.
Montego Bay and residents in Western Jamaica, the Most Honorable Andrew Holness is set to host a town hall meeting at the Harmony Beach Park in Montego Bay. Join Nationwide 90 FM during Nationwide at 5 on August 31 from 6:30 to 8 p.m. as we broadcast live from Harmony Beach Park. Come out and hear the government's plans on housing and land. Share your thoughts, ideas, and questions. That's a live broadcast during Nationwide at 5 on August 31 from 6:30 to 8 p.m. at Harmony Beach Park, Montego Bay, only on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. See you there. This broadcast is brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister.
How certain are you that you're taking proper care of your pets? How often do you take them to the vet? Just as we need annual checkups with our doctors, most pets need regular checkups too. Owning and caring for a family pet doesn't have to be a difficult or burdensome experience. Nationwide 90 FM has an exciting feature called Pets World that will help you take better care of your pets. Join Nationwide 90 FM every Wednesday at 6:50 a.m. during the program This Morning as we take you into the do's and don'ts of caring for your pets. That's Pets World every Wednesday at 6:50 a.m. during the program This Morning on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media.
Looking to rent a fully operational production studio? Then Nationwide 90 FM has got you covered. We have flexible options to meet your recording needs any day of the week. Monday to Fridays, 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. Saturdays and Sundays available upon request. Bookings must be made in advance. Call us today at 630-1210. Let us help you reach your production desires.
If it's in the public's interest, it's the nation's business during Nationwide at 5. The nation's business.
As a parent, you give your children a good start in life. You nurture, protect, and guide them. Parenting is a process that prepares your child for independence. As your child grows and develops, there are many things you can do to help your child. Stay tuned to The Big Show, Nationwide this morning, for parenting tips. Fridays at 6:53 a.m. Only here will you learn everything you need to know about parenting. Tips to help parents navigate the incredibly challenging and rewarding journey of child rearing. Parenting tips on Nationwide at 90 FM, the revolution in media.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us here Nationwide at 5. I'm Cliff Hughes.
I'm Saeed Bernard.
Good afternoon, Saeed.
Good afternoon, Cliff.
Good. Well, in our cover story this afternoon, the education system and, of course, the activities accelerating now for the reopening of schools. It's the start of the new school year, less than a week away. And, of course, the perennial problem of teachers, the availability of teachers, and late resignations of teachers bedeviling the school administrators. This morning we heard from the president of the Association of Principals of Secondary Schools, Linvan Wright, that some school administrators may have to turn to their best sixth form graduates to help them fill the gap. This afternoon we heard from, or our attention was drawn to a bulletin sent out by the Ministry of Education pointing out that there are more than 1,100 newly trained teachers available for recruitment for the start of the new school year. Siobhan Campbell has more on that.
The release dated August 15, 2023, reminds school administrators that 1,123 specialist teachers have just completed their programs of study and may be available for employment in the government teaching service. The Ministry of Education urged school boards to contact the heads of the teacher training institutions as part of a strategic recruitment thrust. Among the cohort are 106 early childhood specialists, 366 primary level teachers, and 62 special education instructors, along with 59 guidance counselors. There are also 530 teachers across various subject areas, with secondary education as their major. For the critical subjects, there are 126 math specialists, along with 60 English specialists. The Ministry of Education is reminding school boards that they should now have access to its job recruitment platform, which became operational on August 28. Schools can post job openings and search for potential candidates through the platform. Job seekers can create profiles, search for job opportunities, and apply for positions that match their skills and interests. There are also 68 teachers available for recruitment through the Jamaica-Cuban Teachers Cooperation Program. Those teachers are equipped to teach Spanish, math, chemistry, and physics. Recruits are also available under the Ministry of Education and Youth Scholarship Program for teachers. Of the 88 graduates from that program are 40 math specialists and 16 science instructors. The ministry says it's aware that the nuances on the ground are many. It's encouraging school leaders to make contact with their regional office to explore other possible approaches. The issue of a teacher shortage has prompted the president of the Jamaica Association of Principals of Secondary School, JAPSS, Linvan Wright, to float the idea of engaging sixth form students to plug some gaps.
One of the other things that we're looking at is maybe look at really good sixth formers, who are in many of these areas to see if we can maybe just look at a reaching approach to things. Those are things, again, that I'm sure the ministry, if we have dialogue with them, when we do, again, we can speak to. But where it is, especially in relation to, as I said, the technical areas, it's one of the things I think they have to look at. Apprenticing people, making them love it, and then maybe offering them scholarships for training and seeing how well they stay on because of that kind of approach.
Siobhan Campbell for Nationwide News.
Thank you so much, Siobhan, for that wrap, giving an insight
into the bulletin that was released by the Ministry of Education concerning this very matter. Mr. Wright says those students tasked with teaching their younger counterparts would gain invaluable work experience.
Is either that or no for some areas. In fact, some schools have actually got them as a part of their service to be doing that sort of thing, and it has helped.
So you give them additional training and then place them in the classroom?
On-the-job training. It's on the job. While you're doing it, you mentor them, you demonstrate to them, you help them. It's not a widespread thing, but it is something that I think that if it is, that it reaches a point. Because a principal will tell you there's nothing like not having a teacher in the classroom or somebody who is a little more responsible. So you just maybe pick very well and see how you get that going.
Linvan Wright there, the president of the Jamaica Association of Principals of Secondary School, speaking on Nationwide this morning.
If approved, this strategy would be one of several being used to address teacher shortage or replacement and retention. Some of the other strategies being utilized now include the empowerment of school boards to make early recruitment decisions and engage retired teachers or pre-trained graduates. Well, to get a perspective, we have the president of the Jamaica Teachers Association, Leighton Johnson, and a past president of the National Secondary Students' Council, Jamal Hall. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good. Let me begin with you, Mr. President, Leighton Johnson. We hear from the Ministry of Education more than 1,100 teachers, yet we're hearing that principals are having a warm time dealing with late resignations and a shortage of teachers, especially in some subjects, math and English included. What is happening? Is it that what is happening? Tell me.
You stated it clearly, Mr. Hughes. The fact is that currently there are schools that are unable to fill critical vacancies. At the 9th hour, I called it, at a few days before the official start of the new school year, there are schools that still have outstanding vacancies between 1 and up to 6 teachers, 6 positions not being filled. Notwithstanding the fact that the Minister of Education has indicated that data coming from our teachers' colleges indicate that there are over 1,000 teachers at the disposal of school administrators to fill these vacancies. What we have seen now is that with late registration as well as
late resignations.
Late resignation.
Yes, you said registration.
Late resignations. Principals have now had to grapple with finding additional teachers. And this is the real situation on the ground, Mr. Hughes. Schools are now, in a desperate situation, and desperate times really call for desperate measures. And this is what we do as educational administrators. We, as best as possible, try to ensure as much as possible that our system stays afloat. We are creative thinkers, and we will, employ measures.
So let me ask you, what is the system? Well, the Ministry of Education recently launched a platform.
Right.
Yeah, the
recruitment platform.
A recruitment platform.
Right.
So if you're a graduate of a teacher's college or the university,
which there are 1,000 odd of, yes,
you can upload your details on that platform,
create a profile,
right? And principals who are looking for teachers who are in this desperate 9th hour situation, can they not make use of that platform to?
Certainly.
Are they making use of it?
If you notice, the platform was made available the 28th of August.
That's yesterday.
That's yesterday. So now principals are, scrambling. The fact is, gentlemen, over the duration of the summer, advertisements have been placed in all daily newspapers. Schools have utilized the various social media platforms to advertise the different positions that are available in their schools. And, as much as possible, you have teachers who are filling these positions. One of the dynamics that we have to work with, though, is a situation where a teacher who is employed in a remote school, who would have had to relocate from his or her hometown or within the town areas of any parish will now see opportunities in schools in the more urban areas, and teachers are, gravitating towards those schools. So that's another dynamic that we have to
Mr. Johnson,
to deal
I
with.
wanted to stick up in on that point there, yeah? Because there's something to drill down there, but we'll take a short break and we'll come right back.
As of September 1, 2023, incoming air passengers must complete their C5 form online at enterjamaica.com. The time by the Jamaica Customs Agency and the Passport, Immigration and Citizenship Agency is
15 minutes to 6 o'clock.
Set your table just the way you like it, with those who mean the most. Set your table with Eve, the first family of fine foods.
The temperature by Eve is...
It's 33 degrees here in City Kingston, also 33 out west in Montego Bay.
Outperform, outlast, with top performance, Chakama, reliable, full stop, not comma. We have the expertise for drilling and demolition. We have the power tools for plumbers and electrician. Pan select tools, 3 parts and 3 repairs. 3 parts, 3 repairs. 2 to 3 years. Built it, available at Delta Supply, 106 Hagley Park Road. Call us at 876-302-61124. Delta Supply. We service what we sell.
We're having problems with our main YouTube page, but you can still enjoy or live stream on the YouTube platform. Go to Nationwide 90 FM Live or backup page to enjoy your favorite Nationwide programs. You can get there by simply typing at Nationwide News Network in your YouTube search window. You can also listen and interact with us through the Nationwide app and on your radio at 90.1, 90.3, 90.5, 90.7, and 90.9.
Thank you so much for staying with us. We're speaking with the president of the JTA, Leighton Johnson, and past president of the National Secondary Students Council, Jamal Hall. Before I come to you, Jamal, I wanted to drill down on something with Mr. Johnson here. Because if it is that, because what you've just described rather is some sorts of internal migration. Teachers prefer to stay in the urban areas and the urban schools. But there's still 1,000 odd teachers there, as the ministry bulletin says. So is it that these teachers are just not taking up the post in those remote area schools and they're just not going into teaching at all, if that's the case?
We are unable to identify exactly why it is that teachers are not taking up these positions. I strongly believe, gentlemen, that on the basis that schools have been robust in their approach to advertising, utilizing every social media platform, utilizing the school applications, utilizing the media, mainstream, the Gleaner, print, and they are still having a challenge in...
I don't hear you say radio.
And radio, because I have utilized radio as well.
Oh.
I have utilized radio as well. The fact is that there are many variables at play. A teacher who lives at home with his or her parent is going to opt for a job closer home to avoid paying rent, to avoid accumulating any other bills. And that is just something that teachers consider.
Hold it there for me, Mr. Johnson. I want to bring in Jamal Hall, the past president of the National Secondary Students Council. And we invite you, Mr. Hall, because we wanted to hear you on this idea pitched by the Linvern Wright that, they may very well have to press into service the better sixth formers. What do you make of that?
Well, thank you so much for having me, gentlemen. Let me just say, these are not the arguments of the council, but rather my own. I do think the council will be making a statement soon. After much thought on it, it wouldn't be my first go-to, but then I have to think it wouldn't be anybody's first course of action, as the president of ATA said, desperate time calls for desperate measures. But I am, however, quite cautious and concerned as to how exactly they plan to introduce it to our students. I I'm hoping that this will be presented as an option, not an obligation to fill the gap, because of course it's not the responsibility of the students to be teaching their peers. I know it's something that might be new to the general public, but I do know we have cases in some schools as a result of the teacher shortage where we have students who will sit in, or prefects specifically, who will sit in a class or two, and some might be courteous as to ask what the class has been doing recently, and they might go over the topic if they're familiar with it. But I agree with all the benefits in terms of the learning experience and all the things that can be garnered. But my concerns are really with the introduction of it, because I do want to point out that the better students tend to be those students who have a higher academic responsibility than others. And it would be quite a shame or unfortunate if, as a result of us trying to help students, we put pressure on other students, causing a negative reaction. But I do think it's something that, if introduced properly and if done seamlessly, but I must say, gentlemen, this cannot be a permanent solution, however, a temporary solution until those 1,100 teachers can be placed or the application process gets a bit quicker, because this, of course, is a band-aid on a much larger wound.
But do you share the view, though? Because at what age are you in sixth form? 17, 16, 17, 18? That age span? Do you think at that age, when you were in sixth form and your cohort, as you remember it, were you seized with the temerity?
Well, I wouldn't doubt the tenacity of the Monroe gentlemen. We were actually we did have our fair share of days if we didn't have a class, and especially if there were teachers who were absent and there weren't enough substitutes. I can vouch that we did go as far as to come to school some days with lesser plan. And we went in the classrooms and gave them assignments, but it wasn't the robust teaching that is required. I know one of my colleagues has actually returned to the teaching industry just based on what he would have done through sociology and law. So there are some students, the better ones, as you guys have said, who I think can manage. But even at that level, sometimes we had to be using our break time. And that was a total option for us. It was actually us who wanted to do it. Now, the phrasing of it kind of sounds like it's an option that's going to be introduced as a requirement.
Yes.
And that now raises certain concerns for me, because then you'd be applying a certain amount of pressure for a student to be fulfilling a teacher's job.
Mr. President.
Yes. There are two things I want to bring into sharp focus, gentlemen. While I hear the concerns and I do understand, the whole matter of pre-trained teaching is not a new concept. If you were to speak with any teacher who had given in excess of 40 to 45 years of service to education, hear that these teachers started their training just outside of sixth form. These individuals who got pre-trained on-the-job training before they actually went into formal teacher training institutions. So the whole matter of utilizing sixth formers or students who have graduated from sixth form to be pre-trained teaching, to do pre-trained teaching, is not a new concept.
So
and schools have been utilizing this over the years.
Yes.
The other thing that we must bring into sharp focus, gentlemen, is that the new teachers are migrating on the basis that the foreign jurisdictions have relaxed their requirements so much that they are even taking teachers without the requisite experiences, and the teachers are gravitating towards this. We have seen this being played out right here in our country.
So, Mr. Johnson, I want to, given the time, yes? Why is it we continue to have this bad practice of teachers giving no notice to their principals that they are going to cut August 20, 21st, 22nd. Why have we continued to have this practice for so many years?
It is indeed a bad practice, and it puts additional pressure on our system. As the Jamaica Teachers Association, we must continue to appeal to our teachers, the teachers right across Jamaica, that, of course, they have a professional responsibility to always do the right thing. As educators, we are, the ones
it is
who
being,
are
Mr. President,
to
I
the
hear
right
you.
thing all the time.
I hear you, but it is blatantly dishonest. It's unethical. It is not something you would recommend to your students. So therefore, your teachers shouldn't do it.
And of course, we can agree that the practice is untidy and it is unprofessional. We can agree where that is concerned. And that is why we constantly ask our teachers just to do the right thing. It puts the strain on the system, and of course,
and it hurts the children.
Their teachers have their reasons. They do have their reasons, and some reasons can be valid. Some
such as?
I can't really speak to them. You'd have to speak to a teacher who would have.
But you would know about them, Mr.
Yes, you would know which ones are valid.
You would know the situations.
During this time. No, I would not know the situation of a reason why a teacher would have sent in his resignation on the 23rd or the 24th.
Because they want to collect the August pay. They want to make sure, as one told me today on my program, that they're settled in and everything is lined up. Their ducks are in a row for their new teach job.
You have that information.
Huh?
All right, so if that is the information that you have directly from the teachers who have migrated, then I can't go against that. But the bottom
you don't know that, Mr. Johnson? Mr. Johnson, you don't know that? Mr. Johnson, you don't know that?
I can't speak to the reasons why teachers do not submit their resignations in a timely manner.
You don't know that they make sure, and it is
to give the system time to settle in.
And they do so because they want to collect the August pay.
But the fact is, to collect your August pay, if you have a resignation dated the 31st of August, you will be paid. There is nothing any educational administrator or anybody within the Ministry of Education can do to prevent a teacher from being paid. Once there is a date on the resignation, then that is the date that it takes effect.
So in the little time we have left,
to get paid.
In the little time we have left, you're very clear that it is unprofessional. What should we do to try to fix this? Shouldn't we make it mandatory like it is in the private sector, where you have to give notice?
Should we have a deadline?
Yes,
a deadline
before your resignation takes effect.
I am not sure how it is that we would be able to police such a system.
Oh.
If an individual has intentions to resign, or if this individual has taken up opportunities in other jurisdictions that we do not have any system to police, how then are we going to hold the teachers to this? I believe what we see
punishment and rewards, like it is in the private sector. Whatever you are due is not paid over to you.
Again, but then how are you going to police this system?
By withholding what is due to them and taking it out of that.
Yeah, but on the basis that the teacher would have received the salary before the resignation is tendered, how then are you going to take out or withhold what is due to them? It's a system that cannot be policed. We simply now need to appeal to the better judgment of our teachers, and I believe for the most part our teachers are professional right across the board. There are teachers who are outstanding citizens who continue to hold the society together, teachers who continue to display the highest level of professionalism in
Mr. Johnson, I have it on good information that sometimes they don't do the resignation during the summer period because you see principals sabotage them when the ducks aren't settled and in a row. Is there any credit to that?
That again, I can't speak to that. I don't have evidence of that. I do not have any instance where I can cite that there's any principal who is going to be engaging in unfair practices or.
But Mr. JTA, President, do you know that they are required to give notice?
of course. The code stipulates that teachers are to give notice. The code does stipulate that.
Yeah, so why them don't do it?
A month, and therefore, I am saying that at this juncture, there is no way for us to police a system where if a teacher resigns and is now plying his trade overseas in another jurisdiction, we have absolutely no way of policing that. Where it can work is if a teacher resigns from a school within our country, within our jurisdiction, and has intentions to move to another school within our country, then we can track the teacher there. Then we can identify where the teacher is because we are operating within the same Ministry of Education. In that context, we are able to police this. But when teachers have migrated,
so what you're saying, the Ministry of Education and you, the teachers union, have to come to a fix that is applicable, that is practical.
Another point of public education. The Education Act states that permanent teachers must give 3 months notice, with non-permanent teachers giving 1 month.
There you go.
So we could dare say that this action is illegal by these teachers.
Can you imagine if it were the Ministry of Education who is constantly flouting this law, this policy? You would imagine JTA President Leighton Johnson would be at war.
But you see, the fact is, the bottom line is, Mr. Hughes,
Yeah.
any
Plain
act
field and
that
level.
is unprofessional, any act that is unethical, the Jamaica Teachers Association or any well-thinking Jamaican cannot condone.
And that's good. But then you have all allowed this to continue. You have all allowed this to continue for decades.
I'm not sure we have allowed it to continue. I believe it's just a situation that there is no immediate fix to it.
But and you have had 40 years, 50 years. Mr. Johnson, it is not beyond the JTA and the Ministry of Education to fix it.
Tell me how it is you are now going to police a system where a teacher resigns or has
without complying with the legal obligation of his or her contract.
No jurisdiction. How are we going to police
that is for you and the Ministry of Education to sit down and work out. You know the system much better than we. No, but the Teachers Association, I dare say, Mr. Johnson, has not turned its attention to this because it's not in its interest as a union.
I wouldn't say it's not in our interest as a union. Our interest as a union is always to protect
the
and
teachers.
Advocate for teachers. That is
right. What about the education system?
The fact is,
what about the education system here?
If there is an issue within the education system that needs
to be
rectified,
and this is
the Ministry of Education, yes, in collaboration with all stakeholders, now need to sit and craft policy to address this.
You know, Mr. Johnson,
Currently, the Education Act speaks to
Mr. Johnson.
There must be the notice. Is it working for teachers who have
Mr. Johnson, Mr.
Yes,
Johnson, the difficulty Jamaicans are having with the JTA, you know, and we hope you will mark a break from that, is that the JTA is no longer about fixing the education system. It is no longer. And I invoke some of your great predecessors, the likes of a Faye Saunders, would not tolerate this.
I get you, Andy. You see, the Jamaica Teachers Association
and I fervently hope, Mr. Johnson, that you will be the JTA president who begins the return of the JTA to fix education and not just being a union for wages and fringe benefits or salaries.
However, I think it is an unfortunate perspective that persons have held.
It's not unfortunate, it's grounded in reality. It's grounded in the behavior of the JTA and the conduct of the JTA and the advocacy of the JTA.
The Jamaica Teachers Association continues to promote the overall development of education in our country.
Hell no.
Yes, it does.
No.
And we can continue to argue along that premise.
Yes, we will continue to argue, but that is not so. Not so.
The fact is, at this current juncture, the situation.
I hope you
that
mark
we
a
are
break
in,
from it, Mr. Johnson.
the
Thank you very
situation
much,
that
Mr.
we are
Johnson.
in
Mr. Johnson, thank you very
requires
much.
a collaborative
Jamal
effort.
Hall,
All the
thank you
best,
very
all the
much.
best,
And I
sir.
tell you, Mr. Johnson, you need to come in here and come spend 2 hours with us. I could debate it.
Looking forward.
Good.
Looking forward.
Me too. That's a cover story.
It's IQ Optical's sizzling summer sale. For this month only, get 50% off lenses when you purchase a frame. Kids get free lenses with a purchase of a frame. Make the intelligent choice with IQ Optical. Conditions apply. The time by IQ Optical is
5 minutes after 6.
Nationwide headlines at 6.
Good evening with the headlines at 6. I'm Nora Gay Banton. The Jamaica Youth Advocacy Network is calling on the Ministry of Education to sanction schools who are in breach of the new grooming policy. This follows the announcement by Education Minister Favour Williams that a draft of the dress and grooming policy for schools will permit male Rastafarian students with dreadlocks to wear their hair uncovered. Shanique Bowden is the executive director.
Equally, we think that focus should be placed on ensuring that this grooming policy includes sanctions for schools that are found to be in breach of the ministry's guidance and protocols. The ministry has been on record many times stating that they are not okay with schools barring students from entry because of their uniforms or other grooming infractions, but we do see this happening every year. So definitely I think that focus should be placed on ensuring that there are sanctions in place for school administrators who continue to practice this harmful practice.
Ms. Bowden says the policy is a progressive step.
We think about the start of a new school year. We usually see reports of students being turned away because of uniform infractions or other grooming infractions. Their hair too tight for the boys, girls, their hair is unkempt. Every year we grapple with this discussion around school grooming policies, who gets to make the rules, and rules should be followed just because they're rules. And so we are definitely pleased to see that this is something that the minister has sought to put some sort of guidelines as to what the ministry's thoughts and position on this matter is.
Shanique Bowden, Executive Director of the Jamaica Youth Advocacy Network. In schools. That's according to a bulletin sent to school administrators by the Ministry of Education earlier this month. The MOE, recognizing the impact of untimely resignations on the education system, outlined several strategies to help offset the loss of experienced educators. The release, dated August 15, 2023, reminds school administrators that 1,123 specialist teachers have just completed their programs of study and may be available for employment in the government teaching service. The Ministry of Education urged school boards to contact the heads of the teacher training institutions as part of a strategic recruitment thrust. Among the cohort of 106 early childhood specialists, are 106 early childhood specialists, 366 primary level teachers, and 62 special education instructors, along with 59 guidance counselors. There are also 530 teachers across various subject areas with secondary education as their major. For the critical subjects, there are 126 math specialists, along with 60 English specialists. The Ministry of Education is reminding school boards that they should now have access to its job recruitment platform, which became operational on August 28. Schools can post job openings and search for potential candidates through the platform. Job seekers can create profiles, search for job opportunities, and apply for positions that match their skills and interests. The Member of Parliament for Central Manchester, Rhodamoy Crawford, is urging party supporters to resist attempts by detractors to undermine the economic achievements of the Holness administration. Ms. Crawford made the appeal on Sunday at a JLP divisional conference in Malvern, South East St. Elizabeth.
Remain focused. Shut out the noise from those who love to orchestrate propaganda. Keep your eyes on the prize. And when you get the negative messages, do not share them. Do not circulate them. When you do that, whether you recognize that that is what you're doing or not, you are helping to spread their propaganda. So when you get the negative messages, delete them. Don't even send it forward. What you need to do instead, look for the positive things that are happening in your division, in your constituency, in your parish, and right across Jamaica, and share those.
Ms. Crawford is urging Labourites to focus on the positive developments in their constituencies and the country at large. She told them that the JLP administration is to be commended for reducing crime, record low unemployment, and continuing economic growth. The first-term MP also took issue with a repeated call from opposition leader Mark Golding that the government relax efforts around debt reduction and instead divert funds towards poverty alleviation measures. Mr. Golding has been making that call since May 2022.
But since them other ones have rocketed our debt, and you hear the opposition leader saying we're paying off the debt too quickly. Garbage, rubbish. When we pay off the debt, it means we have more money to spend. It's just like a mother. If you get $100,000 for your salary, but you owe $80,000 and you have to pay that amount, you only have $20,000 to spend. So we are focused on reducing the debt so that we have more money to put into the economy so that our people can benefit. Don't make nobody tell me no dopey stories.
Rhodamoy Crawford, MP for Central Manchester. That's headlines at 6. I'm Nora Gay. Banton Sports is next.
Touching lives every day, so many different ways, a part of all you do. Sagicor will make you feel secure. Reaching out for more, we'll always see you through. Reach for more, whatever you're dreaming, whatever your goals, will help you achieve them. You're never alone. Taking care of today's needs, take care of tomorrow's dreams. Every day helping you succeed, that's what Sagicor means. Today's needs, tomorrow's dreams. Sagicor.
Mosquitoes will breed in containers that hold water. Tightly cover water storage containers such as drums, buckets and tanks, or cover the water surface with cooking oil. Punch holes in all tins, plastic containers and boxes to prevent the collection of water before disposal. Cover old tires or fill with dirt. Scrub all vases once per week to remove mosquito eggs and dispose of garbage by placing in plastic bags. Do your part to prevent mosquito breeding. A message from the Ministry of Health.
Looking for a 1, 2, 3 or 4 bedroom home in Kingston? The Montenac Paradise is your ultimate destination. Just 5 minutes from Norman Manley International Airport. Experience comfort in our newly furnished accommodations. Relax in air-conditioned rooms, private bathrooms and kitchenettes. Enjoy free Wi-Fi, affordable luxury that meets your budget needs. Follow us on Instagram at DeMontenac876 or message 876-570-0408. The Montenac Paradise, your perfect home away from home in Kingston.
Hello, good evening and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker.
Manchester City's Norwegian international Erling Haaland has won the PFA Player of the Year award for the 2022-23 English season. The 23-year-old striker scored 52 goals in all competitions in his debut season with Pep Guardiola's side, breaking the English single-season goal-scoring record in the process. Haaland beat back the challenges of teammates Kevin De Bruyne and John Stones, Arsenal's Bukayo Saka and Martin Odegaard, and Tottenham's Harry Kane, who is now plying his trade in Germany at Bayern Munich. Haaland was also nominated for the Young Player Award. That went to England winger Saka. He scored 14 goals and contributed 11 assists in his finest season for the Gunners. The 21-year-old Saka finished ahead of Moises Caicedo, who recently joined Chelsea from Brighton and Hove Albion, Aston Villa midfielder Jacob Ramsey, Arsenal forward Gabriel Martinelli, and Brighton striker Evan Ferguson. On the women's side, Jamaica's national captain and Manchester City striker Khadija Shaw lost out in the race for the top award to England and Aston Villa striker Rachel Daly. Daly was top scorer in the Women's Super League with 22 strikes in her debut season at Villa, while the Chelsea star Lauren James was named Young Player of the Year. She won the main award ahead of Chelsea's Sam Kerr and Guru-written Arsenal midfielder Frida Maum, Shaw, and former Manchester United defender Ona Battle, now over at FC Barcelona. Olympic double sprint champ Elaine Thompson-Herah and the newly minted 100 meters world champion Sha'Carri Richardson will clash on Thursday in Zurich at the Diamond League meeting in Switzerland. Thompson-Herah was not part of that crack 100 meters field in Budapest. She failed to make the Jamaica team for the individual events at the World Championship. However, she ran a leg on the sprint relay team. Both sprinters will be joined in the race by Sasha Lee Forbes and the American Twishana Titi Terry. Meanwhile, back-to-back 200 meters world champ Shericka Jackson will renew her rivalry with the American Gabby Thomas. Brittany Brown of the USA, Antonique Strawn of the Bahamas, and Great Britain's Daryl Nita are also down to compete in Zurich. Jamaica's 10-member team won a gold and a silver at the 5-day character triathlon aquathlon mixed relay championships, which ended in Nassau, Bahamas. Jamaica's contingent included athletes from all three age group categories: 11 to 12, 13 to 15, and 16 to 19. Team manager Leslie Prendergast says the tournament highlighted areas in the team that they need to address.
Jamaica received gold in the 16 to 19 aquathlon from Israel Allen and silver in the 13 to 15 aquathlon from Matthew Kennedy. Points were received for performances from Ricardo Davis, 16 to 19 aquathlon, who came in fourth. Rihanna Gale, 16 to 19 aquathlon, 6th. Malika Russell, 16 to 19 triathlon 8th, and Emmanuel Spence, 11 to 12 triathlon 7th. Overall, our athletes were up against some tough competition from other countries, but they put up a good fight. And as an association, we know the developmental areas of focus, which we must strategize regarding training and coaching to receive better results. But overall, we're quite pleased with the athletes.
Leslie Prendergast. Some tennis news for you now. Third seed Daniil Medvedev needed just 74 minutes to cruise into the second round at the U.S. Open with a dominant win over Attila Balazs. The 2021 champion hit 41 winners as he beat the Hungarian 6-1, 6-1, 6-love. Despite his brilliant win on Arthur Ashe Stadium, the Russian said he does not care. All the attention is firmly on Novak Djokovic and Carlos Alcaraz. The emerging rivalry of the top two seeds, Alcaraz and Djokovic, has dominated the build-up to the men's event. Medvedev will play the winner of the All-Australian encounter between Max Purcell and Chris O'Connell for a spot in the last 32. Elsewhere on day number 2, the number 12 seed and 2020 finalist Alexander Zverev defeated the Australian Alexander Vukic 6-4, 6-4, 6-4. Former Wimbledon finalist Matteo Berrettini defeated the French number 29 seed Hugo Humbert 6-4, 6-2, 6-2. The Italian will now face another Frenchman in Arthur Rinderknecht in the second round after he beat Argentina's Diego Schwartzman 6-3, 6-4, 6-2. That's sports.
For all your scales and food processing equipment, call Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited at 876-968-9612-5. The time by Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited is
6:19.
Are you living with HIV but not yet on treatment? Well, now is the time to contact Jamaica AIDS Support for Life at 876-925-0021 to start treatment today.
The temperature brought to you by Jamaica AIDS Support for Life is
33 degrees Celsius in Kingston and Montego Bay.
KFC this summer, we are bucking together.
All I vibe with your crew, yeah, we are stay true, the taste is so good.
KFC, bucket on the ends with the real one. My island, we are world champion.
All of we connect with the KFC.
Jamrock celebrate with we. KFC, we are bucking together.
Let's bucket together with KFC. Enjoy a family 9, family 12, party 15, or party 21 bucket. Because sharing a bucket with friends tastes finger licking good. KFC.
For all your electrical needs, visit ABC Electrical Sales. It stocks a wide variety of electrical supplies including plugs, switches, panel boards and conduits, plus energy-saving fixtures. ABC Electrical Sales stocks brands such as GE, Siemens, Philips, Cutler Hammer and Allen Bradley. It also offers free island-wide delivery just to suit your needs. Visit them at Shop 8 Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10, or call 754-371-45 or 754-382528. ABC Electrical Sales, for a better choice in the electrical business.
My Mega Mart, best value by far.
With so much to do in one location, make Megamart your one-stop shop. Pick up your groceries and houseware needs, grab a bite and pay some bills. Fill your prescriptions and see the beauty products in our pharmacy. All in one amazing location. My Megamart, the best value by far.
My Mega Mart, best value by far.
We're having problems with our main YouTube page, but you can still enjoy or live stream on the YouTube platform. Go to Nationwide 90 FM Live or backup page to enjoy your favorite Nationwide programs. You can get there by simply typing at Nationwide News Network in your YouTube search window. You can also listen and interact with us through the Nationwide app and on your radio at 90.1, 90.3, 90.5, 90.7 and 90.9.
Public Opinion is brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
And Image Plus Consultants Limited, owners and operators of Apex Radiology.
Greetings, good afternoon. I'm Siobhan Campbell again with Public Opinion. As the start of the new school year looms, there are fresh concerns from school administrators due to last-minute resignations by teachers. President of the Jamaica Association of Principals of Secondary Schools, JAPSS, Linvern Wright, says administrators may have to engage sixth form students to teach certain subjects. The approach, which would require approval from the Education Ministry, has been mooted in the wake of the growing number of teacher resignations ahead of the start of the new school year.
One of the other things that we're looking at is maybe look at really good sixth formers, who are in many of these areas to see if we can maybe just look at a pre-trained approach to things. Those are things, again, that I'm sure the ministry, if we have dialogue with them, when we do, again, we can speak to. But where it is, especially in relation to, as I said, the technical areas, it's one of the things I think we have to look at. Apprenticing people, making them love it, and then maybe offering them scholarships for training and seeing how well they stay on because of that kind of approach.
That's President of JAPS, Linvern Wright. So in Public Opinion today we ask, what do you make of the suggestion to allow sixth form students to fill teacher vacancies in schools? Over on Instagram, we have PT22, who says simply, hell to the no. What about paying final year students from college? Dean Megan says, unacceptable. Once again, she says maybe final year university students, but definitely not the sixth formers. We have Marv19, who says the Ministry of Education needs to do their job and find teachers, increase their salaries, make them comfortable with workspace and resources. He goes on to say they, as the ministry, are being paid millions of dollars, so they should find the staff to fill the gaps and leave these students alone to finish their schooling. He says, in fact, I know without a doubt that they wouldn't even consider to pay them, and they would expect them to be writing lesson plans and execute it well. This is ridiculous. Let the ministry do their job. Quite a mouthful, quite a few nuances there. I can see that point of view. We have Bell29, who seems to be more agreeable, says as long as you'll pay them properly for it, plus provide adequate room for them to complete their studies, plus give them an opportunity to become permanent staff if they wish it. So balancing out the previous opinion there, saying as long as you pay the people, he doesn't see any problem there. We have Kim Cotton Candy. So where are the teachers that just finished teachers college? That seems to be the main point there. Where are the teachers that should have finished university and now should be joining in the classroom? I understand from the release from the ministry, that's what, 1,100 such teachers. We should be reaching out to them, according to Kim Cotton Candy. We have DJ Militants. No, I don't support that. Treat our teachers as they should be and place trained individuals. We need the best results for our children. A standard no, simple as that. Can't be putting children to teach children. Over on the app formerly known as Twitter, which by all accounts to me is still called twitter.com, but we can shut down the teacher training institutions then. That's Jay Brown said, teaching is much more than knowing the content of a subject. It is a complete skill set that takes years for most people to acquire. I also hear say, I taught CXC math when I was in upper 6 and got a good passes. I was employed by the principal at this time, and this was over 20 plus years ago. The right students can get the job done. Interesting position. We have Just To Leo. He says, it's sad that people see teaching as just delivering subject content. Shaping character and teaching life skills and values are aspects of the hidden curriculum that require experience and training. But we have to be fair. You have to pick up that training and experience somewhere. I don't see any issue starting from the sixth form level as long as they have shown a certain level of competence and capability of doing the subject areas in question. I'm wondering, in my day, sixth form was quite different from what it is today. I don't know if sixth form, or let me just say average sixth former today is of the competence and the mindset where you really want to put them in charge of children themselves. We have Grace Davidson also over on Twitter. If they're qualified and will be supervised, I say let them do it. On Facebook, we have Mervyn Campbell. He says, I agree with the move. The education system cannot collapse due to insufficient teachers that the system fails to have. I am sure that there are students who are in the sixth form level confidently able to teach the subjects because if they pass the same subject, I don't see why they cannot put to the test to teach it. He says all the government has to do is supervise them in the areas given and ensure that they are on the right path delivering the subject areas. He says, I am confident in them. It's our nation's students. Also, they can pull out few from colleges and universities too. Also, government can use members from the JDF. That's an interesting solution. JDF, I don't know what the level of matriculation to the JDF is if you would put a member of the JDF in charge of teaching students. We have Fitzmatis with efficaciously structured orientation, sixth formers with high grade 1 passes and strong flair for teaching surely can positively enhance the impartation of knowledge in the classroom. Very well worded. I wonder if you're a teacher yourself, Fitzmatis. Nicholas K.N. Nicola says this would not be a new thing. The ones I used to know back then were never sixth form educated. They graduated at fifth form in June, July and was in the classroom first Monday or September. Must be before my time. I don't know of that. Phillips Jackson, brilliant. Once they have the ability and potential, let them shine. We must never allow nothing to derail us. We must put people above money, not money above people, like some of these teachers are doing. That's an indictment against the profession, though. And we have Anna K. Lafayette simply saying, madness. It's better they use third or fourth year students that are in college. So quite a few mixed views there regarding this suggestion from, I believe it was Lynn Vern, right, that we should potentially use sixth formers for the educating of students. I'm trying to see if anybody over on YouTube would like to weigh in on this topic. I'm taking in your views there. I have one from, I think it's Ricardo Portress. From sixth formers are brilliant enough, they will be able to manage the job very well. So definitely in the corner of let the sixth formers do it. We have Sonia Solomon who says teachers in shift schools can be employed to do sessions. Another worthwhile suggestion, but I'm wondering if we really want to go back to that shift school thing. Is that what we're trying to get away from for the better part of, I think, no, a decade? We have Alex Smith. We want the parents to help with homework when some parents grow up with the moon, so why can't we brighter students teach the slow learners? Can see that we can have tutoring, but I don't know if tutoring by a sixth former is the same as asking a sixth former to sit in and teach a class. Quite a different requirement on that matter. We have here from Hermine Hyatt, the ministry should revise the vacation package for teachers. I don't know if the teaching profession would be very much agreeable to that suggestion there, Hermione. We have Rishima who says, absolutely, that's a great idea. And we also have someone say Electro Squad official. If they are capable, let them do it. So quite a few mixed views. Some people definitely for, some people definitely against. I think there is a nuance we can achieve somewhere in the middle. I'm sure there are people at the sixth form level with the maturity and the competencies to impart knowledge on the younger generations coming up behind them. So I don't know if we could adopt that on a wide scale and make it a formal system. I don't know how we'd be able to do that, but I'm sure there are individual cases where that is entirely plausible. So that's it for Public Opinion. I'm Siobhan Campbell. Next is the Business Report.
Public Opinion was brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
And Image Plus Consultants Limited, owners and operators of Apex Radiology.
Rash, fever, headache, muscle ache. These may be symptoms of Mpox. Contact Jamaica AIDS Support for Life at 876-925-0021. The time brought to you by Jassel is
29 minutes to 7.
Live exquisite this year with new arrival black and chrome fixtures for your home at Unique Living. Select from a wide variety of rain shower systems, fabulous faucets, and stylish sinks to suit your kitchen and bathrooms. Get uncompromised quality and style unique to you. Shop everything new at Unique Living, Jamaica's leading shower and faucets provider. Visit shop number 6, 30 Dunrobin Avenue, Kingston 10, or call 876-755-5362.
Good evening and welcome to Nationwide's Business Report. I'm Shalois Michael. The Inter-American Development Bank, IDB, says it will continue to support the government's development objectives of sustainably inclusive growth and debt reduction. This follows their most recent collaboration with the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce to undertake a program aimed at strengthening the capacity of micro, small and medium-sized enterprises, MSMEs, across the country. Dubbed the MSME Roadshow, Business Roadshow rather, the national outreach exposes MSMEs to the network of support services offered by the ministry, its agencies and partners. It provides entities with information and access to business development services, promote awareness of financing opportunities, as well as foster connectivity between markets and customers. In international business news, workers at 2 large liquefied natural gas (LNG) plants in Australia, operated by U.S. energy giant Chevron, are set to go on strike from September 7 in a move that could drive up global prices. It follows weeks of negotiations with unions over pay and working conditions. The Wheatstone and Gorgon site, which has over 500 employees, produces more than 5% of the world's LNG. And in foreign exchange trading this evening, the Jamaican dollar has gained 25 cents and opens trading this morning, selling for an average $155.28 against the benchmark US dollar. The Jamaican dollar has lost 94 cents and opens trading this morning, selling for an average $116.13 against the Canadian. And finally, the Jamaican dollar has also gained $4.07 and opens the trading this morning, selling for an average $194.85 against the British pound. That's a business report. I'm Shalois Michael. Good evening.
The Jamaica Customs Agency and the Passport, Immigration and Citizenship Agency are advising that as of September 1, 2023, air passengers to Jamaica must complete their Immigration Customs Passenger Declaration or C5 form online at enterjamaica.com. Air passengers, go electronic with C5. It's fast, safe, and convenient. For more details, you may contact the Jamaica Customs Agency at 876-922-5140 and the Passport, Immigration and Citizenship Agency at 876-754-7422.
We're having problems with our main YouTube page, but you can still enjoy our live stream on the YouTube platform. Go to Nationwide 90 FM Live or backup page to enjoy your favorite Nationwide programs. You can get there by simply typing at Nationwide News Network in your YouTube search window. You can also listen and interact with us through the Nationwide app and on your radio at 90.1, 90.3, 90.5, 90.7, and 90.9.
If it's in the public's interest, it's the nation's business during Nationwide at 5. The nation's business.
Montego Bay and residents in Western Jamaica, the Most Honorable Andrew Holness is set to host a town hall meeting at the Harmony Beach Park in Montego Bay. Join Nationwide 90 FM during Nationwide at 5 on August 31 from 6:30 to 8 p.m. as we broadcast live from Harmony Beach Park. Come out and hear the government's plans on housing and land. Share your thoughts, ideas, and questions. That's a live broadcast during Nationwide at 5 on August 31 from 6:30 to 8 p.m. at Harmony Beach Park, Montego Bay, only on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. See you there. This broadcast is brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister.
They say hindsight is 20/20 vision. Some say they've been blinded by love. It's always interesting to hear how some relationships started with turmoil. 50 Shades of something alright. Drama to make novels and Netflix. You can always rely on a social media post or some sad story at a bar counter to calculate the crosses in a relationship gone sour. But when you hear about the start, the question is always asked, so how did this even become a relationship? The response is usually, the signs were there. But how many stop signs and precipices you need in the beginning to stop the ride? Join me, Rodney Campbell, every Tuesday from 9 to 10:30 p.m. for Affairs of the Heart, right here on Nationwide 90 FM. This Tuesday's topic, if you ignored red flags early, should you complain in the end?
Brought to you by Supermed Pharmacy. Super happy, super healthy, Supermed. And the Ministry of Health and Wellness. Healthy people, healthy environment.
Do you have a consumer-related issue? Want to learn more about matters concerning you as a consumer? Well, keep it locked to Nationwide 90 FM for the Consumer Hour with me, Nora Gay Banton, weekdays from 9 to 10 a.m. For all your consumer-centric matters, stay tuned to the Consumer Hour on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media.
Stop it, Daddy. Daddy, stop it now. I'm going to tell on you now. Oh, Daddy, don't touch me there. I'm gonna tell on you one day, I swear. Can't you see I'm scared? You're supposed to be my father. Ooh, Daddy, don't touch me there. I'm gonna tell on you one day, I swear. Can't you see I'm scared? You're supposed to be my father. Every day I wonder why my daddy had to be the one to take away my innocence. Oh, sometimes I wanna die. It feels like no one cares for me, and it's evident that something must be wrong with me. I'm not as happy as I seem to be. The long showers I take don't wash away the memories. Why do I have to face these tragedies? We go through struggles in life, I'm aware, but to have my daddy touching me, that's just not fair. Stop him from destroying my future. Believe me, he's behaving like a creature. Daddy, don't touch me there. I'm gonna tell on you one day, I swear. Can't you see I'm scared? You're supposed to be my father. Ooh,
Queen Ifrica singing Daddy, Don't Touch Me There. I'm gonna tell on you one day, I swear. Well, that day came with a damning accusation that her father, the ska legend Derek Morgan, had sexually assaulted her. Several years ago, she made that Instagram post or revelation on Friday, August 25. Queen Ifrica, for the first time, told her more than 277,000 followers that she was sexually assaulted by her father.
She relived the horrific moment and called out her father, who is also a renowned artiste. The black woman singer said she didn't know her father as a child, as her mother kept them alienated. Longing for that father-daughter bond, she sought him out at one of his stage shows.
I'm going to give you one story. Today on the 25th of August 2023. And mark my word after me tell you this today, say, you no have to like me, you no have to deal with me for the rest of my time in a life until me tread the earth. But me going to tell you one of my story them why I not Lego when me Lego. Why I don't stop. Why I don't ease up. It's personal to me. And me know say it's personal to thousands more here in this island who do not have any help. So let me tell you one personal story about Queen Ifrica, Ventress Morgan, Goody Two Shoes. I've always wanted to meet my father. I've always wanted to meet my father. My mother never wanted to meet him, want me to meet him, because she was so angry with him. She hated him so much because of how he treated her. And I became the victim of that. I became the victim of that. The victim of the hatred between my mother and my father ended up on my shoulder. I had to deal with her hatred for him based on how she would deal with me. See? But me still love my mother and me never diss my mother yet. No matter what my mother do me never diss her yet. See? Me always love my mother up until the day she died. Me forgive her for everything before she died. That's why me could rest in my heart. See? I had to find a way to go and meet him for myself at a stage show in downtown. And when I met him, I went to him hotel and I asked him why he neglect me over all these years. See? And him just say him did married and have children and him couldn't make him wife know say him did a deal with them something there. So that's why they tell me mother fi abort me. Cause they tell me mother fi abort me. See? So see me on the battlefield for the Most High. Cause she never abort me. See? After me meet him and me start get to know him, you know, cause at the first me I have a father figure in my life. At the great scare legend. Column of with music. Column is him sing the first independence song for Jamaica. That's why we need to crash independence. We need to make them know say right now we are change round independence. Cause it never benefit we. After me start link up with him and him come, when him come Jamaica, I link him up and thing, and you don't know me, I get to know my father. But me never have before. And my grandfather was my father. And when him dead, me never have no father left. You see me? So I start link up with my father and I start to love my father, cause me I say, you know, see me now, I have a father.
Queen Ifrica there on August 25. She then went on to say that she went to visit her father when he touched her.
One day, Greenwich Farm, 9th Street, I went to visit him when he was in Jamaica on one of his visits. Went to him house over Greenwich Farm, 9th Street. I'm there with him the day and I end up spending the whole day with him because I don't know I'm my father. And I get to know him. And the till in the hours in the night, because them time them meet too honorable. But me and him never did start going on dealings or none of them kind of something there. And the day I'm there with my father and the hours come down, I'm supposed to take a taxi to come up Pembroke Hall. And him look at me and him say, nah man, you might go down, it's too late, stay. It's too late man, stay. You better you stay and go in the morning. Remember now, I'm a father, don't. So, from my father I say, build me, I go build, don't. And and you know, once and once pass through and them leave and thing and you know, the hours now, like you know, I got one room and a one bed. So in the hours I go to bed. I go lay down upon the bed. My father never go to bed, never ready to go to bed yet. And the next thing I wake up to in the hours is with my father. Penetrate me. I wake up in the hours to my father trying to penetrate me sexually. Hold me down in the bed and have sex with me and tell me say him wife now have no sex with him, so he have to do it with me. Now when you understand daddy don't touch me there, I'm gonna tell on you one day, I swear. Can't you see I'm scared? You're supposed to be my father though. My life has been a hell since that moment. And from that moment, I begin to fight for myself because I say, yo, if me drop too much, I go drop with me. So I have to hold it down. So I hold it for the sake of everything and everyone and been holding it for the sake of everything and everyone. The good family members them need to come together and show out the bad family members them who continue to do things like these and grow all kind of terrible victims of society. My father and is a pervert. You know, hear me say me never ever go stop. You know, hear me say it's a purpose and a reason God have me for. And comes what me. The truth must realize, and some of the children them in Jamaica must be free from this rape we no have we down here. You know things so me can't talk my story, man. I have one. I have a story, but I refuse to suffer in silence while the people that hurt me behave like nothing never happened. And want me to mad out, and want me to lose myself, and want me to go turn whore and prostitute and don't love myself. I am not what happened to me. These things happen to me. It does not define me. So I want to tell anyone that is watching this right now, say, the things that happen to you in life should not define you, but should help you to be a better person for yourself first and then for your surroundings.
Queen Ifrica. We're going to get reactions now and some assessment from head of the Department of the Institute for Gender and Development Studies at UW-Mona, Dr. Karen Carpenter, a former head of the Center for Investigation of Sexual Offenses and Child Abuse, Superintendent Gladys Brown Ellis, and 2 sexual assault survivors, Donna Duncan Scott and Nisha, after the break.
Get answers from the government and the public sector. Make a request for information to any public authority. By law, they have to respond. The time by the Access to Information Unit is...
It's 10 minutes to 7 o'clock.
Touching lives every day, so many different ways, a part of all you do. Sagicor will make you feel secure, reaching out for more, will always see you through. Reach for more, whatever you're dreaming, whatever your goals, will help you achieve them. You're never alone. Taking care of today's needs, take care of tomorrow's dreams. Every day helping you succeed, that's what Sagicor means. Today's needs, tomorrow's dreams. Sagicor.
Ezekiel, see one total tools truck a back up in the yard, yeah?
Oh man, it's a surprise. 3 brand new piece of equipment with this buy from Total Tools.
What you say? Some brand new equipment? A free one? Thank God.
Yes, we rent, we repair, and now we buy with one tool from Total Tools.
Total Tool Sales, Main Street, Ocho-Rios and the Slipe Road, Kingston, offering the best after-sales service. Call 876-908-0667 or 876-994-1653. Total Tools.
Get your Western Union back to school bonus from now until September 22. 50 winners of $10,000 every week. Millions in scholarships of up to $100,000 each. And double your Western Union money transfer in your GK1 wallet to get you ready for the new school year. You could be one of over 300 winners. Just download the GK1 app, receive a Western Union transfer in your GK1 wallet, and you're automatically entered to your back to school bonus. Visit gkmsonline.com for all the rules. Authorized under Section 58.3 of the Betting Gaming and Industries Act.
We're having problems with our main YouTube page, but you can still enjoy or live stream on the YouTube platform. Go to Nationwide 90 FM Live or backup page to enjoy your favorite Nationwide programs. You can get there by simply typing @Nationwide News Network in your YouTube search window. You can also listen and interact with us through the Nationwide app and on your radio at 90.1, 90.3, 90.5, 90.7, and 90.9.
7 minutes going up to 7 o'clock. This is Nationwide at 5 on Nationwide 90 FM. We are listening to the revelation by Queen Ifrica that she was sexually assaulted by her father who she met later in life, and her father, the ska Jamaican legend Derek Morgan. So, some perspectives now. Dr. Karen Carpenter, good evening. Superintendent Gladys Brown Ellis, who is also an attorney at law, and sexual assault survivors, Donna Duncan Scott and Nisha. Good evening, ladies.
Good night.
Good evening, ladies.
Cliff. Good evening. Good evening to those authors on the platform.
Yes. Let me begin with you, Dr. Karen Carpenter. What's happening here? What should we make of what we heard from Queen Ifrica?
I think apart from the statements made, one of the things that jumped out at me, which is very true, is that this happens to thousands of persons.
Thousands.
And the numbers are not small, even by the reporting that we have at the bureaus. We know that over 3,409 sexual abuse cases for children alone were reported in 2022, and that represents more than a 40% increase in cases over 2021. So we know that we have a serious situation, and we have a serious underground situation where much of the reporting is not being done. Those numbers don't even tell us the story of what's happening in the country.
And Superintendent Gladys Brown Ellis, who is also an attorney at law, from your time in the force and at Sissoka, your perspective on this practice, this behavior, wretched as it is?
Yes, Cliff. The first thing that came to my mind is that Jamaica should not say a lie she tell. Do not say she's lying. And the thing is, had it not been Queen Ifrica, I suspect you'd have heard many persons crying out, she's lying. That man would not do that to her. Her dad would not do that to her. But from my time at Sissoka, it is, I can say to Jamaica that it is a prevalent thing, a regular thing. From where I come from in Clarendon and St. Thomas, Whitehall, St. Thomas, they call them family rams. And it is a generational thing in many families where my father did it, my grandfather, and his brothers. So you have an uncle doing it because the dad did it, the grandfather did it, and it is a curse that has to be broken by getting rid of the silence. Men are allowed to get away with this, especially family members, to get away with this kind of rape and incest because they believe they can get away with it through the silence of the victim.
But Superintendent,
shame and embarrassment, we keep silent.
Superintendent, how do we deal with it though? Because you say we're not supposed to say it's lie telling. I agree with you, but we also can't run with the accusation and the allegations. Yeah. So what route is there for Ifrica, as she is well known as? What route is there for her at this point?
I think the route that is there for Ifrica has been met. She has come clean. Do you know the burden that has taken off her mind, her soul, and her well-being? Do you know how much she may be sleeping better these days? Because it's a burden. I mentioned before when I was at Sissoka that I believe that rape is like a murder, like somebody's murdered, somebody's dead. Part of you die and will never be returned to normal, for want of a better word. It's not something that can be resurrected. You'll never get past that path, but you may be able to live with that because you have finally get it out. You finally said it to somebody.
Well, we have
shared your story.
We have two survivors of sexual assault with us. Two brave women, Donna Duncan Scott and Nisha. Donna Duncan, what was your experience and how did you cope? How did you shake it off, as Superintendent Brown Ellis said?
Mm-hmm. Well, it happened when between the ages of 9 and 13. And my maternal granduncle, and
your maternal or paternal?
Maternal granduncle.
Uh-huh.
He's no longer alive. What happened? So the thing is, I kept silent, and as Superintendent says, we cannot. The silence is what we have to break, and that's why I would come and talk about it. But you keep silent because you feel shame. Something is wrong with you. You have something to do with it. Like you're guilty. I felt like I was a Jezebel because I don't know how it come to, but I was sleeping in his room. So at that time, his wife is one bedroom, and then he's in a different bedroom, and I was in a bed in his bedroom. Right? That's where I slept when we stayed over at their house. So, and that is when the abuse occurred. But I felt like as a Jezebel because, him having wife, because the thing is, he used to say that I am special and he used to spoil me and, that kind of thing. So all of that occurred. But I think why I will speak out and why I want to talk about it more and more, we need to talk about it, like we cannot remain silent. What killed me and really eroded my self-esteem and has very serious implications for my entire life was the fact that I remained silent. I only told one person, and that person said, just tell him to stop. Right? And I did. It didn't happen immediately, but it happened eventually. Right? He stopped eventually. When we moved away.
And
so the point I'm making is that the silence is what is the killer, and you do it because you feel shame, like you had something to do with it. I did nothing wrong, but I was not. At that time, I think I did something wrong. Something is wrong with me. You know what I mean? Why it is that this happened to me, and therefore I felt ashamed. So the silence, we have to break it. We have to find a way to break it. And I do think as a country, we need to take it on very seriously because it's not no 3,004. When I was at university, I just did a scan of the people in the room, and it was at UA in Trinidad. 40% of the women on that hall, in that meeting room, we had about 40 people, had been abused. Right? It is widespread. It is prevalent. So those numbers are really, as I agree with Karen, they are way off.
Nisha,
right?
let me come to you, Nisha, because the silence is what kills, as Donna says. But what's the process like to actually come to the fore, to bring it up, to bring it out, to speak out? What's that process like for you?
Good night once more. The process was really, really hard because to know that you have been sexually assaulted and then to speak out, it's really hard. For me, when I told my mom the first time, it was, that didn't happen. He wouldn't do such a thing. But when
he being who at the time?
I would not say it was a family member. I wouldn't say who's a family member because it still hurts to this day because this person was supposed to protect me. But to actually come out with it, it's very hard. For me, it took a lot of process for me to actually tell other person what happened to me. It basically, I had to reach a mental house, which is worth 21 for me to actually gather my friends and tell my friends that this happened.
Did you? I missed something there. You said what? It took 21 what?
It took me to admit myself into Ward 21 to actually admit it to my friends and anybody else that it actually happened.
You went
because after I told my mom that it happened and she didn't believe me, I had to live with that for the rest of my life. So it took me to admit myself into a mental health to tell other person that it happened.
How old were you when it happened?
I was in grade 6, so it was around 11, 12 until I was in high school, until I was in grade 9.
And at what point did you check yourself into Ward 21?
I checked myself into Ward 21 when I was in my 20s.
Oh.
Yeah.
And it would have ended in grade 9?
No, it didn't end in grade 9.
Oh.
I had multiple, so it started from one two family members, which is somebody close, and then it started with, and then the second time it happened, it was with my adopted mom, ex-brother-in-law, and then two close friends, and then a stranger. So 5 times completely.
So you have had multiple assaults?
I had multiple, yeah.
So when did you break out of it?
I broke out when I admitted myself, when I realized that I was sinking too deep in depression and suicidal. I had to do something about it. I had to get therapy because I feel like if I didn't help myself, I would have actually break. I would not be here.
Oh, Lord.
To actually talk about my story, to actually share my story with other persons, to tell them that, hey, it is not your fault. It is never your fault.
Dr. Carpenter?
Yes, I'm listening.
This is hard.
It's hard, but it's not unusual, Cliff, and
Saeed.
I really applaud Misha for making the move to come into the psychiatry unit. We speak of it as Ward 21. It's a psychiatry unit, and certainly anyone else who's having challenges can come and be admitted to the hospital's clinics and get psychiatric help. And we also have referrals to the sexology clinic where we deal with those matters of sexual abuse.
Dr. Carpenter, I want you to hold it there because I wanted to take a listen to this clip where Mr. Morgan threatened to take legal action against Queen Ifrica. He has since deleted that post from his social media, but he made reference in that deleted post, to an interview Ifrica did years ago, where she gave a different response when she was asked about the inspiration for this song, Daddy Don't Touch Me There. Take a listen.
What is it about that song?
Okay, so you're a very smart man. When I did Daddy, I've always wanted to write about that topic, incest, because it affects so many people that I know personally. But my connection to the song really came from the childish thing that you heard in the intro. Came from me not having a father when I was growing up as a kid. So no, you understand it now.
Gotcha.
I met my father, Derek Morgan, when I was in my 20s.
Oh.
I grew up as a little girl with my grandfather.
So you've heard that, Dr. Carpenter and Superintendent Brown Ellis, yeah? Dr. Carpenter, what do we make of the, as one would call it, contradicting stories?
I don't know that the stories are contradicting, I think we need to remember that disclosure of any personal, intimate, traumatic nature takes time sometimes. And it can't happen in our time. It has to happen in a time that the person is ready to make that disclosure. People tend to incrementally, little by little, tell the story. And if you have someone in therapy, you will realize that it takes a very long time for them to give you the full story. Few people come in and sit down in front of you as a stranger and simply blurt out their entire story unless it happened yesterday.
So it should not be seen, what her father has posted, it should not be seen as some sort of a contradiction, because this is expected based on the seriousness of the allegation.
Even when you listen to her, though, she did not.
I think it's difficult for us to do distance therapy. We can't make conclusions about the veracity of her statement.
Right.
Nor is that what we're trying to do. What we're saying, though, in the generality, is that people can take a very long time and they can be very sincere in the telling of what they're saying. What we have to do is to give them the room and the space and the time to tell it in their own time. And let me be very clear, I want us also to look at the notion of the perpetrator. Often we want to focus on what the victim has experienced, and that is very important. We need to give the victim support, we need to give the victim time, but we also need to stem the tide of perpetration. Have to do
Which brings me to the question. Yes, her father is a legend, an icon. Yes? How do we respond? what should happen, if anything?
I'll leave that to the superintendent. I'm sure she knows
Superintendent
all
Brownell.
I
suspect that would be my call.
From both a legal point of view, Superintendent, and of course, from the point of view of you
law
being
enforcement.
former head of Sissoko.
Yes. Yes, Said and Cliff. Indeed, it's a situation where the ball is in the court of Queen Ifrica. It's in her court. And it is up to her whether she wants the police to be involved at this stage. But suffice it to say, there's no statute of limitation on rape.
Right.
As long as you're not, it can be proved that you're not insane or you have mental problems where your story cannot be believed or it doesn't sound credible. The fact that the father may be a legend would cause others to hesitate to say, really? That man would have done something like that? But the question would be better, that should be better asked is, who else did he do that to? And who else is remaining silent because of the legendary figure that he is? Yes?
Yeah.
That is it, when you remain silent, you allow the perpetrator to continue with his wayward lifestyle and to commit another act of rape or incest on other victims who would not even have an idea that he's that kind of person. And the trust that people would have built in him would have caused them to lay themselves, for want of a better word, careless, and to trust him so that he could betray their trust and confidence.
Yes.
So at the end of the day, what does Ifrica want to do at this time? Is saying it aloud and sharing it with John public enough? Does it cleanse her and give her that final freedom? Because when you're a rape victim, I've never been raped, but because of my job, I can speak like I'm speaking. It's like you're in prison. You're never free, especially when it is something that you keep silent. You're haunted.
So Superintendent Ellis, under the criminal law, given the fact that there's no statute of limitation where rape is concerned, if she were to make a report or to begin the process of criminal sanctions, what are the steps she would have to initiate?
She would have to come into the Sisoka's office and in the parish where she resides, and we would take it from there, do the question and answers, get her story, and from there now we would call in the alleged perpetrator and to do what is called a question and answer, get him to come in with his lawyer. In matters such as these, it is important that we seek the directive of the DPP,
right,
Paula Lynn's office, for them to review the file when we have prepared it. So it's not for us to take an action at that time. These are what you call historical cases, and because of the many years it would have taken place, her intervention in something like this is paramount.
Do we have any cases like or of this nature, the historical cases as you call them, where years after persons come to the fore and make the report and follow through with the process?
That we do. I think it was early last year that Ms. Llewellyn would have mentioned one. I don't know if Cliff remember. She would have mentioned being successful in one such case. For her entire life. It affects your entire life.
You said, just a moment, Donna, you said earlier, it killed you. Yes, it impacted your self-esteem. Now, so many years later, do you think you have some closure? You have overcome and you are at peace with that? Is it now?
Okay, I am at peace with it. However, I still have, there are implications for me. There are things that I still have to deal with because as superintendent said, you can't get past it. You can't really get past it, it has already now affected your whole psyche, right? So there's work to be done and continual work to be done. Yeah. But I am at peace, even with the fact that he denied it at the latter stage. Yeah. You know what I mean?
But for Jamaica, though, I think we need a screening because it is widespread.
Nisha?
And it's related, one last thing, it's related to me, it's related to our history and our culture and how we see women. That conversation needs to change, Cliff, and you guys need to take it on seriously.
Nisha, from your point of view, having gone through this unimaginable ordeal, what do you think we can do as a country? What do we need to do? What do you wish was there or existed that would have helped you to speak out earlier about what was happening to you?
I wish as a country that we will shed more light on this. I feel like it shouldn't have really take this long for us to really talk about it, because it's not from my generation only this is going happening. It's been happening from, I will say, my grandmother generation, because my grandmother was sexually assaulted. My mom was sexually assaulted. I have a family member that was sexually assaulted by family members. So I really and truly wish Jamaica would shed more light on this, because there's a lot of young ladies and men and boys that are sexually assaulted, and there is nothing that we are doing. We look down on it because we are protecting these men or women that are hurting our young ladies and men. I really and truly wish that I really and truly want to say the Prime Minister, but the government to shed light. I wish more persons would come out with their stories and talk about it. I know it's very hard to keep silent, because I've kept silent for years. And it's because you're going to say that nobody's going to believe you. But we are hearing you, we are listening. I really wish we would have shed some more light.
Is there anything we can do to perhaps help young ladies to come out, to speak up, as you say? Is there anything else you think we can do to provide them that space and opportunity to feel safe enough to speak out?
They always say that you should find a safe place for us to talk about our feelings. For me, it is therapy. I go to therapy. So basically, the psychic ward actually helped me find a therapy. You can find a therapy, or if you have a very close friend that you're very close to that can have a listening ear, or you can find, I don't know, we just need a safe place for these young ladies that can actually talk about the things that happen to them. We need a safe place for us.
And Dr. Carpenter, help us there. For those who may be listening, who may be victimized as we speak, assaulted as we speak, what advice would you give them?
Yeah, I encourage all citizens who need health care, whether mental health or physical health, to register at their local public hospital. Many of our citizens, Cliff, don't know that the service is provided free. Once you are registered, you can ask to see a psychiatrist or a psychologist. And certainly for those of us who are in the KMA or who can get to UA Hospital easily, once you're registered and asked to be referred to psychiatry, if it's a sexual assault issue, we have a specialized sexology clinic there where we see many, many, many of the persons who are trying to overcome the challenges and become survivors rather than victims. This is not an issue that affects only women, although women are disproportionately affected by it. We have young men and we have older men who are affected in their younger days. So that means that we both have men and women who are perpetrators, and we must be very aware of this. If I could ask for one kind of help, apart from the hospitals that we already provide, is that I would want to see us provide greater support for mothers. And the reason I say this is for those mothers who actually do believe and support their children when they're reported, and I have seen many of those in the public hospitals, we need to provide them with avenues and reasonable ways in which they can also get help to continue to support the young people in their life. Because the mothers take on the shame and the guilt, and many are in denial because they don't know where to go without being shamed. Because we blame mothers when this happens, and they're not always facilitating it. If we support the mothers, we're going to find that more young people get the help that they need.
Yeah.
Because they're not living on their own. The young people are not living on their own. Someone has to bring them to clinic.
Dr. Carpenter, Superintendent Brown Ellis, Donna Duncan Scott, Nisha, thank you so much for sharing. Thank you, and I hope we can start another chapter in this long-running saga. Yeah?
It's very clear before you.
Let's continue the conversation.
I must really compliment you on bringing this to the fore at a time like this.
Yes.
And it is important that you have a second chapter, so to speak, because it is even more prevalent than you think.
Yes.
And the silence is wretched. If they could only confront the perpetrator, that would be another way, a prepared way for them to confront the perpetrator. I think it would help too, considering that you're not prepared to take legal action or to report it to the police.
Yes. Thank you very much, ladies, and in particular, Nisha and Donna Duncan. Boy.
You're most welcome.
All right.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
Take care. It's 23 minutes after 7 o'clock. Time for the break. After the break, Andy, a 75-year-old senior citizen, spoke with me this morning on Cliff Hughes Online. And a lot of people are asking us to repeat that interview with Miss Andy. Yeah, we're going to do so after the break.
Daddy, don't touch me there. I'm gonna tell on you one day, I swear. Can't you see I'm scared?
It's IQ Optical's sizzling summer sale. For this month only, get 50% off lenses when you purchase a frame. Kids get free lenses with a purchase of a frame. Make the intelligent choice with IQ Optical. Conditions apply. The time by IQ Optical is
7:24.
The Transport Authority wishes to advise the public that no cash is to be paid to any staff member, servant or agent acting or purporting to be acting on behalf of the authority for services offered by the Transport Authority. The Transport Authority is advising that all payments for its services must be paid via Visa debit or credit cards, Paymaster or Bill Express. Please be guided accordingly. A message from the Transport Authority.
KFC this summer, we are bucking together. All I vibe with your crew, yeah, we are stay true, the taste is so good. KFC, bucket on the ends with the real one. My island, we are world champion. All we connect with the KFC. Jamrock celebrate with we. KFC, we are bucking together.
Let's bucket together with KFC. Enjoy a Family 9, Family 12, Party 15, or Party 21 bucket, because sharing a bucket with friends tastes finger-licking good. KFC.
Charlie's cheating on me. What? He is? He texts his friend that Kathy is the best sleep he ever had in his life. Oh, Jody, he's talking about Kathy England mattress from Kemlani Mart. Oh, the same place we bought our tiles? Yes, Kemlani Mart. They have the best mattresses. And the best furniture, bathroom fixtures, and doors. And they're having a huge sale right now. So Charlie not cheating? Well, certainly not with Kathy England mattress. Well, I'm going to get a Kathy England mattress too.
From Kemlani Mart, Manor Center and 77 King Street.
I love this place, you see.
We're having problems with our main YouTube page, but you can still enjoy or live stream on the YouTube platform. Go to Nationwide 90 FM Live or backup page to enjoy your favorite Nationwide programs. You can get there by simply typing @Nationwide News Network in your YouTube search window. You can also listen and interact with us through the Nationwide app and on your radio at 90.1, 90.3, 90.5, 90.7 and 90.9.
Well, 26 minutes after 7 this morning, we did an interview with a 75-year-old woman who identified herself as Andy. She's a former principal and served Jamaica's education sector for decades.
Andy shared her thoughts on the current state of education in Jamaica and how she viewed the leadership of the country. We thought it very fitting, on the impression of others, to replay this interview.
Andy, good morning.
Oh, good morning, Mr. Hughes.
How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Very
I'm
well.
so glad I got you this morning.
Uh-huh.
From last night, I have been so troubled.
What?
When you had those persons speaking about the behavior of the women in that TikTok
Yes.
video,
Yes.
I couldn't believe what I heard from them, sir.
Mm-hmm.
I considered them, this was what came to me afterward, dishonest and hypocritical.
Mm-hmm.
Hear me out.
Sure.
I felt that the first thing I would have expected from those persons is to say what was done was wrong. None of them. You go back and pay attention, because I did. None of them. When I hear Rear Admiral going to talk about hotel taking over beach, excuse me, how does that come into, if you want to say, these people are under pressure and whatever, but be honest. I would like you to find out from him. He has had good time in leadership, and leadership is important. I would like one thing that he did when he was in that position that has benefited Jamaica and is happening right now. And if they didn't continue it, let me know. I will take to the streets and get people to get it on board. Because it's more than talk. But don't come to the station with an agenda. These people, there was one of the women who said, I have 5 children. Mr. Hughes, there's PASS. There is some other thing, I don't know the name of them, where people can be registered and go and train without paying a cent. What are they
That's Heart
doing
Trust
to get
NTA.
their children involved in some of these programs, rather than going on TikTok or whatever to talk such nonsense? That lady who has had the benefit of studies in social behavior, social psychology, and she's coming, and all she could go to are persons who have been doing wrong but are in position and whatever. All those things are wrong. Don't misunderstand me. And I believe they must be addressed. But none of them address the reason you had them on the program. I hope you never have them on your program again, because none of them showed anything but their own agenda, dishonesty, and hypocrisy.
Mm.
That's what I have to say on that. Now the teachers. I have been a teacher. I was a teacher for years. Depending on
What did
how
you teach,
long you
ma'am?
have been teaching,
What did you teach?
I was a principal. So I taught most subjects in an all-age school.
Okay.
All right. Then, it depends on how long, and it depends on your position. There's a 3-month notice. There's a month notice, depending on the situation. These teachers come on the radio, and they're loud when it's time to get paid. But integrity doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Integrity doesn't matter. It's just the Ministry of Education. And I am disgusted, totally disgusted with those who are there now talking nonsense. Because let me tell you, sir, all the years of teaching, there's no problem they have been mentioning that was not there. Over the years, little has been done. Some of the old fogies in the ministry sat there, and even when opportunities came to change things, and they changed some of the programs and policies, They are there, like it's like they're creeping instead of walking because they have their plans. They don't want to change. I am sorry for education in this country with the people who are in it. The other thing, they're going to compare Jamaica with New York or with the United States of America. How can we pay people that kind of money that they... I have friends who went away and did well, and I didn't condemn them. But I don't want them to come tell me anything about Jamaica could pay them what they're getting or what they got in the United States. There are those who stayed here and did well too. Somebody has to stay here, and if some have to go, I don't have a problem. Go, but be honest. If you are, they wait until they're settled in the position in the United States or Canada before they inform the teachers here. And I don't hear the JTA speaking to integrity in those areas. Where are they with things like that? Because their time is spent on the Ministry of Finance. I am just waiting for that survey that is going to tell the rate of increases that took place in this. I'm not in favor of madness that the government do, sir, because it's not a political argument I'm presenting. If they do nonsense, step on it. I don't care who is in power. The other thing is, Mr.
Could I probe you a little?
Yes.
As a principal, a former principal, now retired, you said?
Yes, I left teaching, went to another area, and retired.
How long you spent in the classroom?
15 years.
15 years.
Yes.
All right. So you were a principal of an all-age school?
Yes.
Good. This matter of teachers resigning late in the summer, for how long has this been a practice? Do you know?
Long time, sir. Years. But the difference now is the numbers. That has been happening for years because whether it was even getting another job in Jamaica, it didn't have to be outside of Jamaica. And that's the truth. Teachers always felt that they have to be sure of the other job. And the reason is they have not been called to book. So if they didn't give the notice in time, and they get the other years down the road, they come and make noise about what the ministry owes them and why. And because of all the red tape and what have you in the ministry, they have not been called to book. It's not just now. And that's the truth. The difference is the number of them and the pretense they're making. Like it's just now that these things are happening.
Yes.
I find them totally dishonest.
Yes. And
all the problems, they're multiplied. You understand?
How should it be fixed based on your experience?
Administrative job, you experienced that.
Based on your experience, Principal, what is a fix?
The fix is when they go, they are not to be paid. If they were to give 3 months notice, that 3 months money is not given to them. If they were to be given 1 month, they should have given 1 month's notice. They are not to receive it. In the past, when we went to Teachers College, we were bonded. And if you break that bond, you had to pay. Where is all that now? You go and our tax-paying money pay for you, and then you go off to wherever to get a lot. Because that's all there is to us. The other thing is, I recall being bonded when I went to Teachers College and was trained. When I was going to leave teaching, to another government organization right here in Jamaica, wrote and sought permission to finish my bond in that organization. And it was granted. So what they're going on with is total dishonesty that has overtaken them over the years. Go back to those JTA presidents that you have heard of and known of, none of them would be tolerating some of the nonsense going on in the schools now.
True.
No, because they were honest people with integrity. And you never heard anything about politics. I have been there, so I know. Good. So that's it for that one.
And not that they didn't have, they had their political views.
Of course, sir.
But they were professional enough to understand.
The organization.
Yes.
And I knew who they supported.
Yes.
But that was their private affair.
Yes.
Good. The other person I want to speak to a little is Mr.
You on fire this morning, Andy?
Yes, because I've been waiting to get you in, sir.
Okay, go on.
Mr. Bunting.
Oh, dear.
No. I think he's a little unhinged. And I say that because if you listen to him, he is not trying to bring this country together in any peaceful way. I have never heard one of them say, come Jamaica, this crime thing has to stop. Let us come together and see what we can do. No. His interest is in statistics. How many people have died? What the Prime Minister said when he was out there about opening window and all those nonsense. What is wrong with him? I know that Miss, what's your name? What the lady down there, Crawford?
Where?
The lady who fought him in Manchester.
Rhoda Moy Crawford.
Rhoda Moy. I know that Rhoda Moy hit him hard, but I didn't know the head was involved. He needs to stop it. This is a man with, you count with some intelligence. Start calling the country together, man. What can we do? Stop going out there and being stupid. Mr. Golden, who is a lawyer, is not even behaving like an educated person, let alone a lawyer. So I don't even bother to talk to him. Right? I want all of them. You know the difference? Let me tell you, I may not vote for Andrew Honis, but I will tell you one thing I admire about him. I've never heard him say any nastiness about anybody personally. If he has, I stand corrected.
Yeah.
But I've never heard it. These people just go and they say anything that comes to their mouth. What's wrong with them? I have only heard one person, and it's a woman in Portland, who made an attempt to tell what she would do. That's the one going against Mr. Vaz in West Portland. What she would do if she won in that constituency. And I said, thank God somebody believed they must tell us what they would do. What is it the PNP has to offer? I don't know. Because if I am now trying to make up my mind who to vote for, excuse me, I just vote because you say Andrew had said that we would open more window. That is, when you're in opposition and you're going to, that's platform talk. And I'm not saying you shouldn't work towards it, but stop the foolishness. I am sick of them, sir, and I want them from top to bottom to get some integrity and level of honesty and stop the politicking. And I want those three people you spoke with yesterday to stand in front of the mirror and look at themselves and say what they would like to say to those women who were on that TikTok video.
May I ask you, Andy?
Yes, sir.
You're a retired person now. And if you don't mind, how old are you?
I will be 75 next month. I'm not ashamed.
75? Yeah, so you have seen a lot.
A whole lot.
You've been around before 62.
Of course. In 62, sir, I represented my school on the float. I was going to a school in St. Elizabeth then, and I was the representative from my school on the Independence float in Kingston.
Which school was that?
Middle Quarters Primary.
Ah. And from Middle Quarters Primary, where did you go?
I went to St. Elizabeth. No, I got through for Hampton School. My parents were not able to afford that, and they went and asked permission for me to go to Steps and take the technical entrance while I was in the school, and I did, and I was successful. So that's the school I went to.
Stets, St. Elizabeth Technical.
Yes.
And after Stets?
I went to Church Teachers College and then the University of the West Indies.
Ah, and qualified for teaching. Yes.
Yes, sir.
How would you assess Jamaica's performance in these past 61 years as an independent country?
I would say, I'm a very hard marker, but I would say I would give them 70%.
Why?
I would give them 70% because despite all that is happening, we have struggled and taken our steps and come a long way. And I also look back on all leaders, whether they were PNPO, JLPO, some of them had some good and brought us some good. We have a long way to go. This is like the 30% that is left is much more than the 70 that is gone, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
Based on what is required to get it.
In terms of what we have done well, what we have achieved in these past 61 years, what would you identify as successes?
All right. A number of the things that I would identify these days, the same integrity that I'm fighting for. I thought that was something that, to some extent, we had come to a place where we saw that as important in our country. I don't know what is happening now. When I look, I think having political stability is something to celebrate because I knew where we came from. And I hope we are not trying to go back to where we came from. Even the same education system that we're beating, we have produced a lot of great people. Some of them have left the country, and so we're not benefiting from it. But it's because of what was done in our country that some of them succeeded. So I see that as success.
And for you, the biggest disappointments, if not failures?
My biggest disappointment is how we are becoming dishonest. Dishonest. I look at Jamaica, sir, and when I think of the pandemic, I think more than most countries, we did pretty well. When I listen to those outside of Jamaica, they're willing to give us accolades and congratulate us. Yet we right here in Jamaica have a problem with it. When I look at before I go look at it, I think our productivity needs attention.
Yes.
But part of that is this whole idea of this handout that we are being taught. The government must meet us down the road and give us a package with money. Money, money. We are not being taught that we are to make use of what is available to us. We hear that the unemployment rate is whatever. And instead of using that as something to push our people and say, Chuman, a little job is out there you may not get what you're looking for in the beginning, you know. But if you start and build yourself, you can get where you want to go. No. Where they're saying they are not paying the people whatever. Excuse me? How many of us who are speaking like that came from well-appointed homes where money was there? All of us come from fighting for our education, fighting to stand up and be honest, because we had parents who stood behind us.
Yes.
And we can give them accolades at this time. My parents had 14 of us.
They were very
and
busy.
they were not well off.
14?
You hear me, sir?
14?
Yes. For both parents.
Oh. So let me ask you. I find chatting with you very fascinating, very interesting. So let me ask you.
Yes.
Over these years, have you been a consistent voter?
Yes. And I've voted for both parties.
Oh?
Yes. Because I recall, because there are times when I think, based on where I am located,
yes,
this person will do what is required in this community.
Ah. So you vote for the party, as in the party leader, versus the constituency representative? How do you tend to vote? I
started out mainly voting for the constituency. When I looked beyond that, as time went by, I saw that that alone couldn't get what I want to happen in Jamaica. Those persons I was voting for needed a leader that could get the work done.
Yes.
So over time, I looked at that.
Mm-hmm.
And that is how I feel. I'm not ashamed of anything I've done.
Yes.
And I don't care who see it, because some of the members of my family may not see it the same way as I do.
Yes.
But I'm an adult.
Right.
I've lived in this country and I've seen what needs to be done. And I will stand up and fight for that.
Let me ask you this, therefore. How did you vote in September 2020?
September 2020.
The last general election.
I voted for the JLP.
Why?
Because I thought they were doing pretty well with the pandemic.
Mm-hmm. And in the upcoming election, do you think they deserve another term?
Well, I am on the fence right now. There are some things I need to see happen.
Such as?
I want Mr. Honest to stand up and explain to the people, because I don't think he's a personable kind of person, but he's not reaching. I don't know if when he does go out, he reaches the people. But so much is happening, so much money is being spent, and people are just there disgruntled. Why? No communication. And that's not something that sits well with me.
Mm-hmm.
Good. I believe that people should be aware of what is happening on both sides.
Yes.
So they can make their honest judgment.
If you were to choose and to assess Holness and Mark Golding as the two leaders we have, yes, a choice, how would you assess them? How would you rate Holness versus Golding?
Okay. Let me backtrack a bit, because I like to put my cards on the table.
Sure.
When the PNP was looking for a leader after Honorable Portia, my vote was with Peter.
As in Peter Phillips?
Yes, sir.
Uh-huh.
All right. And so I was not even looking in the direction of any of the others. When the party selected Mr. Golding, I said, well, if that's who, because at that time also Mr. Phillips was getting along in age. I remember the first thing I heard about Mr. Golding was this lady from, I think it's maybe Augustown or somewhere, labeled him as disingenuous. And I said, what? Because she was a part of them, not just a voter, but inside.
Venetia Phillips.
Yes, thank you, sir. And I was a little annoyed with her, if you ask me.
Yes.
Anyway, I got to the place where I used that same adjective because of something that happened in the pandemic. He stood in Parliament and agreed with things, and when he saw that it wasn't going where it would look good, or when he saw that it would make the other side look bad, you never heard a word from him or it changed. I was so turned off and disappointed. The truth is, I have not seen any difference since then. And that's my position. So, in terms of him becoming a prime minister, he is not on the radar where I'm concerned. But if I'm pressed, I would give him 4 out of 10. Not because he lacks the ability, but he needs a mind of his own. He needs to be able to stand on what he believes and not what some ning around him wants him to say or do.
Oh dear.
That's my position with him.
Yeah.
He's not a stupid man.
Yes.
But he is desperate. And desperation blinds us. Good. Andrew Honus. Where Mr. Honus is concerned, where he gets my, and I don't say vote yet, but where I will look in his direction, he has a concern for people. It's not always brought about like that foolishness that they did with the increase or whatever they call that.
The salary increases.
Salary, right. It was not handled properly. And I look at it and I say to myself, Nigel is not a politician, he's an economist. I leave that there.
Yes.
But I feel that the Prime Minister shows a greater desire. I can't even find the words I want right now. But to see Jamaica move forward, not just because of an election. You get me?
Yes.
I think, though, that he can't sit on laurels and believe that that's all right. He needs to communicate with his people. The PNP is trying to communicate, but they are too desperate to let us hear anything. And that is what is bothering me. What am I to say the PNP is doing or is going to do? Curse when something comes up that they don't like, or go on platform and try to twist things in their direction. That's not good enough for me. I may not live to see the next election, but if I'm going to choose somebody to vote for, it has to be somebody who will not be taking care of me, taking care of Jamaica. I may not have a lot left around here. I worked for government for years. I am getting a pension that barely can carry me. But I believe in honesty. I believe in receiving it only when I'm to receive it. I don't believe in taking any other thing. And I remember that I worked hard to get where I am.
So you would give Golding a 4 out of 10.
Yes.
What would you give Holness?
7.
7 out of 10.
Yes.
But you're not prepared to say you'd vote for him now.
No. Because I'm not being bought just because of little things that are happening, you know. As I said, it's not about me. It's about Jamaica. When I see that this person really cares about Jamaica, I know they have spent a lot of time on the economics, the social, make a difference too. I think they're trying to do something with the education and that aspect of it, trying to bring people on board and what have you, but it needs to go further.
Yes.
Explain to the people. There are some of them who are out there don't even know about these things. You get me? And it can't be just what you people on the air do. The few people that you call and talk to. You understand me? I do not know one of the problems I find with the government, I don't know who is the spokesperson for the PNP in terms of communication. I don't know that.
Mm-hmm.
I know that it is Mr. Mann from Clarendon for the JLP. I don't think he is the best person.
Mm.
I think he's knowledgeable. Don't misunderstand me. But the vibrancy that position requires,
yes,
he does not have it.
Oh. Who do you think would do that, a good job at that?
You know, I've looked and looked. And at one stage I thought of Darrell Vaz. But I don't, because he will speak his mind, but he will also explain.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the troubles he's having with the areas he has been given. But no one can get up and say he's not paying attention to people's concern.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying?
Yes. Yeah.
So, and the truth is, when I heard that Mr. Fitzhenley went over there,
uh-huh,
I wondered if that was why he was coming.
uh-huh.
I have nothing against Robert. He answers the questions to the point, but just that voice won't do.
Yes.
You get me, sir?
Andy? Miss Andy?
Yes, sir.
This has been one of my best calls in the history of this program. Thank you so much.
And thanks for having me.
Any day.
All right.
Could you give my producer your number?
Okay.
So we can be in touch?
I call and Nora has done a lot for me too, you know. So
yes?
I know your station.
Okay.
All right, sir.
But thanks so much.
Thank you for having me.
You have been so frank, honest, balanced. You know, your breadth of knowledge and experience. I wish if I could have 10 of you every day calling me.
Okay, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for managing a wonderful station.
Thank you. Andy, the caller of the day, if not of the year so far. Yes? That's where we're going to leave it for this evening. I want to say thanks to our producer, Sonny Stewart Perkins, our technical operator, Andrew Anderson, and of course the members of our news and production team led by our Deputy Executive Editor, George Davis. I'm Cliff Hughes.
I'm Said Bernard.
Reminding you, take care of your loved one and look out for your neighbor. Good night.